In the late 1960s, 7-year-old Andrew D. Basiago stood trembling before a shimmering portal of radiant energy, a secret creation of DARPA's Project Pegasus. His father had enrolled him into this clandestine experiments rooted in Nikola Tesla's lost research. Suddenly, Andrew was pulled through the portal, its tendrils licking at his flesh as he was hurled through time itself. Suddenly, Andrew lands with a thud in 1863 Gettysburg, the air thick with tension, as Abraham Lincoln gives his famous address. In the current year, Andrew stands by his experiences through time. He calls himself a chrononaut, and he very well may be the only thing standing between us and complete utter destruction. But one thing's for sure, he's not standing in the way of an episode of Red Thread, because that's what we are, and we're here to talk about Project Pegasus as well as Andrew Basiago. I'm Jackson. With me, of course, the very talented Friendly Geordies and Kira, our script writer or researcher. I guess that's the correct phrase. The person who puts together the document. So welcome, guys. How are we all doing today?
Welcome and fine. Kira.
Yeah, how are you doing, Kira?
Your turn. Yeah.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah.
This one was fun to research.
I've gone through the document, I've researched it as well on my own. This is potentially the dumbest one we have done so far, in a good way. Like, this is ridiculous.
Don't put a bias in someone's head.
Tops Avril?
Oh yeah, 100%. Avril Lavigne, Yeah, I mean, there wasn't that much to that one, really. That was just like a forum post. This one is about 25 years of an insane person's lunatic ranting, compiled in a beautiful document here, going over every single detail, every single one of these little stories. It's like if you went out on the street and listened to the insane man on your corner sprouting about the end times and then wrote it down in a notebook for 20 years and then came back and told me about it. I would think that was just the most beautiful thing that's ever existed.
Good.
This guy rambles and rambles. We were scouring through like talks of his that were over 6 hours long. They were crazy.
Yeah, poor Kira has listened to multiple videos about 6 hours long each of him ranting. Again, like this man has done constant podcasts and interviews over like a 20-year period talking about his experiences through time, essentially. So I guess this is a forewarning. We are limited by our format in that there is no way we are able to accurately recount 20 years worth of stories. So we're going to have to take the choice highlights here to kind of paint the overall broad stroke story as well as some like finer details throughout. Okay, so the story of Andrew Basiago and Project Pegasus, I am assuming you are not familiar at all, Jordan.
I'm familiar to the extent that I watched 5 minutes of this man on the History Channel once. That is to say, I've seen some of these pictures before.
You've seen this person's type, or you've seen him specifically on the History Channel?
No, I've seen this guy that you have to double take every time you look at him and just be like, is this a guy that plays a postman that gets shot up in mafia films? You guys were talking about that beforehand. Andrew Dennis Basiago looks like a fairly unassuming man. He doesn't really look like a man of destiny that would be chosen with a spectacular power of going back in time. Is he able to, just before we go on, is he able to voluntarily do this?
Well, not anymore.
No.
We're going to get into it, but it was government-led secret operations, essentially. He was chosen by the government to undergo these kind of experiments that sent him through time, these procedures that sent him through time. But it's not like he was born with an innate ability to travel through time. There was a scientific implementation through the government.
Right, okay.
Now he can't. He's stuck in our timeline, sadly. He's not able to travel anymore. he's on that TSA travel ban list. He's not allowed through time anymore. But yeah, this is a good opportunity to talk about his just general appearance now. Because like I was saying before in the kind of introduction element, about like, the homeless man on the streets ranting, about conspiracy theories. he doesn't look like that, obviously. This guy looks like a professional. He looks like an unassuming lawyer, basically. Just like a normal dude. Maybe even like a professor. An educated man, and he is an educated man, but who has spent his twilight years in his 60s over a 20-year period just endlessly ranting about this to anyone who will listen. Which is just hilarious to think that he's led a professional career up until this point, and now he's just going balls deep, basically, into this conspiracy theory. Fantastic.
If he was talking about anything else, you would believe him because he just is so precise with what he says, and he has so much detail.
He's articulate.
He's very articulate, yeah. But if it was anything else, you would just believe him.
I mean, 50-50. I'm on the cusp of believing him as it is. Just his innate ability of like, he's a very convincing storyteller. Like he has an incredible way of explaining things in a lot of detail and remaining consistent that it's hard to believe that he is making this stuff up. But then you step back and think about him traveling to Mars through time travel, and you're like, well, that doesn't sound possible. You know what I mean? So maybe I do need to think about this a little bit more. All right. So Andrew Dennis Basiago, the man himself, he is a lawyer or an ex-lawyer at this point, a political presidential candidate, and also a time traveler with an IQ apparently high enough to be a previous member of Mensa, the high IQ society. He holds 5 different degrees and is a working lawyer at his private practice, or he was, wasn't he? He's not anymore, Kira?
Yes, I did read that he was taking a sabbatical, but that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and he's not he's
sure
definitely not working still to this day. So that's a 15-year sabbatical. You may as well call that retirement, right? At that point.
Maybe, yeah.
So he was a working lawyer at his own private practice, being admitted to the Washington State Bar in 1996. We've confirmed all these details. He is actually what he says he is. He's clearly an intelligent man. That's just true. Like, you have to be a pretty intelligent man to have 5 different degrees and be a working lawyer, right? Like, there's no way you can argue against that. Yeah. So very smart man. I don't know what I don't think there's proof of him being a member of Mensa. I couldn't find any proof of that. It's just a claim that he makes. But, you know, in the broad scheme of things, that's a very small lie. So I'll just take his word for that one. He can be a member of Mensa when we're talking about intergalactic travel and time manipulation. So sure, he's a member of Mensa. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
But this particular story, this story through time, all began in his childhood. Andrew was born on September 18th in 1961 in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, which is just the most unassuming sounding name possible for an American town, right? Morristown.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
New Jersey's a bit chat.
Is it? I've never been.
I mean, you've seen pictures, surely.
Yeah, I've always just heard of like New Yorkers though, like claiming that it's a bad place.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know who to believe. It's like an argument between 2 siblings. Who knows? The youngest of 5 children, Andrew claims he was identified by the project leads at Project Pegasus as an indigo child.
Oh, okay.
Indigo child. So a very special child. That's the nomenclature they would give these potential subjects. These children are said to have supernatural abilities. In his bio on the Project Pegasus website, which is run by himself, Andrew says that he could use his mind to levitate small objects and read the minds of others through telepathy when he was a child. So he did have some form of like psychokinetic abilities when he was a child, or special abilities when he was a child, and that's what made him attractive to the people that ran Project Pegasus, I assume. So he couldn't travel through time, Jordan, but he could read your mind, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so are you still we putting this in the same category as he definitely went to Mensa?
Yeah, well, I think that was on his application.
Definitely had some supernatural powers at a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's undeniable.
Yeah, he is gifted.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm going to have to err on the side of caution and believe this man about this particular point, because everything else is so insane that this is a trivial point. Like, it's not worth arguing about. Like, he was able to move objects using the Force or whatever. Andrew says that his father, Raymond Basiago, was an engineer and chief technical liaison between the Ralph M. Parsons Company, which was a technology defense, intelligence, and infrastructure engineering firm, and the CIA shell group involved in Project Pegasus. The Ralph M. Parsons Company does still exist to this very day as the Parsons Corporation. So again, he sprinkles in a lot of truth in these stories, which makes it very frustrating because, like, I'm like, this is stupid, and then I look into it, and he's told the truth in a lot of elements. Yeah.
All the jigsaw puzzle pieces are there.
Which is what a lot of these successful conspiracy truthers do. Whenever they're making up their conspiracy theories, they're very good at laying a foundation of truth, which they can then point back on as proof that they're like honest people and that you should believe them. The trick is not making it as insane as possible. It's got to be rooted in some element of truth. So yes, this company did exist, and it still does to this day. It employs over 18,500 people worldwide across 30 countries. And public records confirm that Raymond, his father, was an inventor and engineer, as a US patent exists for a Hall plate, which is a semiconductor device, and it lists his name as the inventor. So again, yeah, he's being honest that his father worked for some kind of engineering company who was potentially collaborating with the CIA on something, and his dad was a inventor and engineer, as proven by these records. So a lot of elements here that are true. Isn't it weird that these companies exist and they have like 20,000 people working worldwide across 30 countries, and yet I've never heard of them before?
Yeah, but is that even that big of a company anymore? It's okay, I guess.
Across 30, what have you done? All right.
I don't have 18,500. I'm still on a lean 15,000, right? So I'm not in a position to talk about this, but I don't think, yes, across 30 countries, that's all well and good. But like, don't you think that something like Toyota, if you looked that up, it'd be like 100,000, Actually, but then again, you have heard about Toyota.
Yeah, I've heard of Toyota.
Your point does remain valid. Yes, you're completely correct.
It's just surprising that there are very large multinational companies like Ralph M. Parsons Company, or what's it called now? The Parsons Corporation. Never heard of it before. Never seen a logo. What do they do?
When you look them up and you go into their history, they've done quite a lot. Like they helped build the largest floating structure in the world. Helped Abu Dhabi Airport. Worked on Missile Defense Agency for the United States.
Yeah.
There's like a lot.
So they just do whatever they feel like? Is that their business?
Well, it sounds like they're hired by
making a flotation device and then making missiles are very different things.
Yeah, but that's why they've got 18,500 people. They've got some people who are good at missiles and some people who are good at flotation devices, I guess.
This is so good. Just guessing their corporate structure.
That's the red thread. Project Pegasus is the name given to this secret government operation, and it's the name given by Andrew. There's no other records anywhere about Project Pegasus anywhere. If you look up Project Pegasus, you're probably going to get the most recent information about I think it's an Israeli spyware program called Project Pegasus that was unveiled by a bunch of journalists back in 2020. It was like a piece of a virus that could take down governments, basically, developed by the Israeli government. You'll find that, but you won't find anything about Andrew's time travels. Which, hey, if I'm gonna put my conspiracy hat on, maybe the government created the spyware program, Project Pegasus, to cover up this one so that if you ever do Google Project Pegasus, you won't find Andrew's stories anymore.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's too good of a name to not use.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's got to be a Project Pegasus.
Constantly steal it for things.
Yeah.
So, again, so far, a lot of plausible aspects in this man's... So far, his alibi is tight.
Yeah, can't poke any holes through this one.
I can't.
Later in life, when Andrew was searching for his own information, he asked the CIA what the status of his father was and if he was in fact part of the CIA. According to Andrew, the CIA answered, Quote, "We cannot give answers to any relative to a living or deceased CIA personnel," which confirmed what Andrew wanted to know.
I don't know how that confirmed what he wanted to know. But again, he is a genius. So,
that's the mentor.
They said he was a living or deceased CIA personnel. He was wondering if he was part of the CIA.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Like, you can read it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's more like, you can also read it in a way that the CIA just gives that like broad answer to anyone asking dumb questions to them, basically. Like it's basically just like we can't comment on this.
If they do that, they really are, I'm pretty sure, inadvertently stringing along nutters, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Everything is always said with, ooh, what's in the mystery box? You'll never know, but sort of there's some little cryptic clues in there if you look into it. Look, everything they say pretty much is just like a Tupac lyric, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of ways to look into it.
I mean, like you could just rewrite this sentence to say, according to Andrew, the CIA answered, "We can't comment," which confirmed what Andrew wanted to know. That's still, yeah, you could literally just write that. It's the same kind of concept.
Yes.
Project Pegasus, though, is believed to be run by DARPA, mostly the Defense Advanced Research Agency. DARPA, once also called ARPA before they added the D, has a strong military connection and works on long-term projects that are often or entirely classified. They're basically the CIA, but for technology, if I wanted to dumb that down to its just broadest kind of, definition. In the winter of 1967, Andrew's father brought him to the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico. The LANL, L-A-N-L, which is what the acronym for that facility is one of the research and development laboratories of the United States Department of Energy, and it's known for its research and assistance in creating the first atomic bomb. But Raymond didn't bring Andrew to LANL the normal way. No! Andrew alleges that they were teleported from New Jersey.
Damn!
Why?
Be cool.
Take a flight.
And what, in the 60s?
In the 60s, but for such a innocuous visit as well, just to teleport to some lab, essentially.
Yeah.
Why? Just as an experiment that they could.
He was showing it was like the introduction into this.
So his dad was like, "You want to see what I can do?" And then teleported him to LANL.
Apparently it was pretty much Andrew didn't know what he was getting into until he got there. And he was like, "What is this?"
Wait, Raymond didn't or Andrew didn't?
Andrew didn't. Raymond did.
Raymond knew.
Andrew,
okay.
Raymond knew.
Okay. So Raymond had told Andrew's mother that the two were going to a local hardware store. Instead, they had gone to the Curtiss Wright Aeronautical Plant in Woodridge, New Jersey, which has since been abandoned, and this is where they were teleported from.
You're so right. He's got an answer for everything.
Oh, you
really inane details. We walked down 53, took a right. It's like he's got it all.
I mean, you're literally correct. I think Kira writes about this later in the document, but he recounts things with shockingly accurate memory a lot of the times. Like you were telling me about how he was able to accurately describe the trip from one facility to another, to facilities that do exist in real life, down to saying we took a left turn on this street, then a right turn on this street, traveled for 20 minutes, left turn, and then we ended up at the facility. And if you look at Google Maps or whatever, it's it is corroborated by the actual route that people would take to get from that place to another. There are so many unnecessary details that this man adds to his stories that are just so consistent with other elements of his story and also reality that it's rather annoying because it makes me want to believe him.
And this is coming from even since the age of 6 years old, he has that good of a memory. I definitely can't remember what I was doing at 6 years old.
No. But let's say that he is making up stuff like that, just off the fly or whatever, to remain that consistent about it and retell that story so many different times across so many different podcasts and interviews, it is an impressive skill in of itself. If I was recounting stories from when I was 10 years old or whatever, I feel over time I would become inconsistent with my retelling. due to my just memory issues or whatever, or just memory fading or whatever. He's a 60-year-old and he's recounting it the exact same way every single time, basically, down to the last minute detail. It's an impressive skill in of itself, even if he is lying. Super cool.
Yes.
But I admire this crazy man.
Me too. I like you.
You should, after this, when you're trying to go to sleep or whatever, you should put on one of his 6-hour long interviews. That goes for anyone out there. So Andrew describes the teleportation machine as looking like a pair of parentheses, so brackets, about 8 feet tall, or 2.4 meters, and 10 feet apart, 3 meters. And when it was functioning, a radiant energy, a form of energy Nikola Tesla discovered that can bend time-space, this energy beamed between the two devices, lightly shimmering. This is a quote from Andrew, like water down a public sculpture. Andrew has explained that when someone jumps through this radiant energy, their inertia opens up a vortex tunnel in time-space. Which, the science is there. I believe him. He's describing what is basically like a Rick and Morty portal, I think.
Yeah, he really is. Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
And it kind of is like Rick and Morty when you think about it. He's like traveling through time with his like father figure as well. Maybe he just watched Rick and Morty. He's basing it all off that. Andrew describes the device as simply being plugged into a power outlet on the wall, needing only a little bit more than a normal household appliance energy to operate.
You know what's incredible? This is the first part that I find somewhat questionable.
This is where you start to think, that doesn't quite make sense.
I did pause when I read that. I was like, what?
Just plug you into the power outlet. Why would you make
that call as well? Because that, out of everything else, I think it's also just the basic psychology of somebody is if someone said, I traveled through time, you got to tell me more, But then just saying something along the lines of, and it takes little more energy than an everyday kettle. It's all of a sudden it just sounds like you're trying to upsell me at Retrovision.
Yeah, I was going to say, he sounds like a salesperson.
That type of lie. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, and you can pre-order it now at my website, andrew.basiago.com.
I know, it's basically just being like, you're really saving energy on this. Just think about how much energy you use to fly places.
They were very eco. Well, yeah, actually, maybe that was his argument. Because he does have kind of like an eco platform later on, especially when we get to some of the later details. Like he talks about how more environmentally friendly teleportation was, so maybe that's why he
man, I always feel so bad about this. It's always why are the eco warriors always nutbags? Always. If you really care about the planet, you're always just a bit off kilter,
Well, I think you're gonna get hate for that. First of all, you're gonna frustrate a lot of eco warriors
from the nutters, though. I mean, look, I am somebody that has done some very big environmental causes in my life, like raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for it and stuff. But man, I don't consider myself as like a normie, I think I'm a bit fucking off hinge. Like the whole time I'm reading this being like, yeah, you had psychic powers. Get to the interesting part, Like so.
It's not good enough for you. I mean, like you said, I think that those causes attract a lot of idealistic people, and I think idealistic people are generally going to be the ones who like to see fictional realities, essentially.
Yes.
Where like they make up these cool, extravagant worlds rooted in idealism. So
it is a very cool, extravagant world, isn't it?
I mean, I want to believe in the worlds that they make. These people are like the Tolkiens of our generation in my eyes.
Yes.
They're wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful people.
His podcast is the length of an audiobook.
And still, until they start to like burn down houses in the pursuit of their like eco agenda or anything like that, then it starts to become a little bit scary. But until then, it's very fun.
Yeah.
But regardless, this machine was powered through only a wall outlet, which means you too could run your own teleportation device at home if you wanted to, which is great. His father held Andrew's hands and counted to 3, jumping into the energy field that turned into a vortex tunnel. As they were sent through the portal, Andrew could see intervening events all around him, like the whole universe was passing by. He describes how he felt like they were moving rapidly, but also like they weren't moving at all. Kira, would you like to recount what his father said to him? Because you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Just how I imagine Andrew's voice.
Okay. So Andrew said that his father said to him, "Son, when we leap, I want you just to leap and leap at the center of the field of energy. Don't look back. Don't reach back. Just hit it with me."
Damn, that's cool. That's a cool line from his dad. Just hit it with me.
Could be from a book.
What a man. Yeah, very, very, yeah, I wish my dad time traveled with me. That'd be cool. Andrew could see a tiny speckle of light at the end of this tunnel that got bigger and bigger, and then they hit straight into it, like colliding with a wall. His father had warned him that they might get separated, and they did, with his father apparently getting sucked through the wall and Andrew finding himself wandering the Capitol complex of Santa Fe, New Mexico, until his father found him around an hour later. This was, according to Andrew, the beginning of his journey with Project Pegasus. So this was his very first foray into teleportation and Project Pegasus, Kira?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, put yourself in his position. I'd be addicted to that feeling immediately. I'd want to go back for more. If that was my first encounter with teleportation, you couldn't pull me away from that machine. I'd be there constantly. This is a little interim here, Jordan. I was thinking about this while I was reading. Would you prefer to be sent back in time or forward in time?
Oh, back in time.
Yeah,
sure.
Same, absolutely. And the reason for me why I would choose back in time, because the future is like a gamble, right? You don't know what you're going to get. You could like time travel like 50 years in the future, 100 years in the future, even like a millennia in the future. It could just be boring or nothing. It could be like nothing exciting. It could be the end of the world, or it could just be society as it is now, basically. Who knows? But with going back in time, you kind of know broadly what you're going to get. Like if I travel back to the dinosaurs, I know I'm going to get some cool dinosaur moments.
Wait, hang on. Is that why you want to go back in time?
Yeah, I want to see dinosaurs. What's wrong with that?
Just because
You have no idea the lifelong obsession Jackson has had with dinosaurs.
Well, why do you want to go back in time?
You know what? I honestly can think of like 3 or 4 major historical events that I just want to give a go at. Just maybe go back in time to Caesar and say, look, man, I know that soothsayers and your wife have both begged you not to go into the Senate, but I've traveled back in time. You can see my sneakers here now. Just don't do it. And see if he's just like, fuck off. And also, why aren't you speaking Latin? And then like
yeah. You would have to get over like the translation issues, I think. You're going to show him sneakers and he's going to stab you for them.
All right, so, all right, do you go back in time effectively? You would have to learn the ancient language of the time to a point where you're at least conversational. So there's already a huge problem there.
Yes.
So look, actually, you're one of just going back and seeing dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm not going to need to talk to them.
It might just be you go back in time and you immediately get eaten.
Yeah, I mean, but I'd be the only human ever eaten by a dinosaur.
Look.
No. Actually, wait. Okay. If I go back in time, get eaten by a dinosaur, I'm going to be rediscovered in the future as like skeletal remains in a dinosaur's stomach. It's just going to be incredible. People are going to be like, they have their minds blown that there was one single human back then who got eaten by a dinosaur somehow. That's going to be fucking awesome. I'll go down in history. I was just going to say, I just really want to see dinosaurs.
It is cool, especially because from all the artists' interpretation of what the planet looked like back then, seemed like it was just a giant rainforest, and that would have been awesome to see in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's actually not a bad point to go back in time to. Actually makes a lot more sense than mine now that I think about it. But the other one that I always wanted to go back to purely was just, all right, now I know the lotto numbers.
Wait, why would you go back? We know the lotto numbers from 20 years ago right now. You can Google it.
That's what I'm saying.
No, wouldn't you want to go in the future and then see the lottery numbers in the future so then you can put the bet in your present?
Oh, wait, so you can come back as well? So you can go into the future
Well,
and then
I
come back
assume-
at a whim.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that. I assumed we were coming back. Are you staying with Caesar? Are you like renting? Are you renting one of his Roman villas? Like, what's happening? You just staying there forever?
Shit, dude, I did not think this too far ahead.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I think that's what happens. You just have to stay there and they're just like, well, we've got pipes, but they've got a lot of lead in them. Goodbye.
You're gonna have to get used to shitting in the streets. You're gonna have to like borrow a couch off Caesar.
Yeah, and I also just assume that I'll go there and I'll just like, put a yo-yo in front of the most powerful men on earth and they'll be enamored by it and be like, well, he has to just live in a villa. He's obviously going to have a great
He'll
life.
live like a king.
Yeah, but maybe they'll probably just do that and I'll get executed.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're either gonna get like seen as a witch and killed immediately, or they're gonna expect such great things from you that you can't deliver. Like they'll think of you as a god, and your only ability was bringing them sneakers from the future. Like, what are you gonna do from there? You're like, shit, I'm out of ideas.
Oh my god, yeah, okay, then the pressure's really on because you're gonna have to sit there and be a soothsayer for the rest of your life.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
I don't know. As soon as you have one answer where you're like, I don't know, they're gonna fucking execute you on the spot for being a liar.
Yeah, all right. Look, wait, hang on, Kira, what would you do?
Yeah. You've heard both arguments.
Oh my god, I don't know. Now I feel stressed.
It is stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, time travel is stressful. That's
Especially
why
if you add the little pretext of you can't come back.
I'd go back to when he claims this happened and see if it happened.
Oh yeah, go.
Oh, what a waste of a trip. It's like, it's so obvious it didn't.
What if it did?
You're like a time travel cuck. You went back in time just to see a person actually time travel. But Kira, just to get on the record so that the audience knows, would you travel back in time or the future? Which one?
I'd probably travel back in time. I don't want to know what the future looks like until I'm there.
True, yeah. It's pretty scary knowing the future, I think.
Yeah.
All right, but what about that far ahead, like dinosaurs? There probably would just be another round of dinosaurs.
Oh, you're talking about like
In fact,
circling back to dinosaurs? We go so far in the future that now there's new dinosaurs?
yeah, pretty
No,
much.
I want the
There'll be
original
new
ones.
dinosaurs. You want the OG
I'm only
ones.
interested. Yeah, I'm only interested in the OGs, Generation 1 dinosaurs.
I think probably the most likely event would be if you went too far in the future, there would just be a bunch of rat people that exist.
I'd fit right in
Because
there.
it's like a weird quirk that monkeys became the dominant species on Earth. It should have been some sort of rat.
Yeah, I
They
often
were
think
much
about
more
that.
intelligent. Huh?
I often think about that, what life would be like now if some other species generated, took over essentially. Evolved to the point of humanity essentially. Like if we were giant salamanders instead.
Why salamanders? It's not
I have no
it's not the animal that I think is next in line. You know?
I have no clue why salamanders came directly into my brain then. That must be my reptile DNA.
Yeah, you're really pro reptiles. It's sick.
I am apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so back on topic to the foundation of Project Pegasus. Let's talk about Nikola Tesla because, of course, the technology behind Project Pegasus is deeply ingrained with Nikola Tesla's kind of research. You want to take this chapter?
All right. According to Andrew, he was deeply involved within Project Pegasus in the 1960s and 70s, essentially being chosen as an astronaut for their adventures through time. Wow, what a life. The work in Project Pegasus was based on the inventor Nikola Tesla, a Serbian-American engineer and inventor born on the 10th of July, 1856. This list of inventions that came from Nikola Tesla is long, but to name a few, he invented the alternating current power system, the radio, the Tesla coil, fluorescent, and just to name a few. He is also the arch rival of Thomas Edison. It's speculated that his contribution and research into high-frequency energy fields and wireless energy transmission could be or was used in the research for dimensional shifting and teleportation. God, that's a long stretch, but okay.
You're just digesting that?
You're kind of right. When you're reading this, you are taken aback for a few seconds, and then you get, right,
you're just like processing the information in your brain.
He died in 1943 in a hotel in New York, leaving behind a large amount of research papers that were of immediate interest to the government due to Tesla's area of research and expertise. This is true and not speculation. Within hours of his death, the government seized his belongings.
Yeah,
Fair,
that's actually...
It is Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a very smart person, and you don't want that information, especially in 1943, falling into the hands of, like, you know, enemies during World War II. So yeah, makes sense, and it is confirmed. Like, this isn't just speculation from Andrew Basiago. This has been corroborated. They definitely stole Tesla's research immediately after he died.
Although Tesla was an American citizen, he was born in Smiljan, Croatia. He died during World War II, and where he was born was part of the Axis powers, which gave justification for the government to be able to take his research under the Alien Property Custodian Act. Well, yeah, this is exactly what Jackson was just saying. Mm-hmm. Due to the nature of this work, they saw it important to get into his research papers first, which could prove useful to the war effort. Nikola Tesla had been one of the few individuals that claimed to have invented the death ray.
What is he, a Star Wars villain?
Nikola Tesla made as wild claims as this unassuming postman did.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla was the original Andrew Basiago.
Far out. Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, he did research into this death ray. I'm pretty sure it was just like firing particles or radiation at people to, you know, cause them to disintegrate internally. Yeah, pretty cool.
More likely known as the particle beam or electromagnetic weapon, the idea of this death ray is one of the reasons the government wanted his research.
That's a terrifying sentence. We want his death ray.
We must have the death ray.
Yeah, the US government was working on their own Death Star at the time, I think.
The task of reading and evaluating his papers was given to Dr. John G. Trump. Yes, this was President Donald Trump's uncle. Really? Dr. Trump was wow.
I thought he would have come from just a family of businessmen, but yeah, he comes from a pretty prestigious family of educated men, believe it or not.
That's incredible. Yeah, you're right. I thought that they'd all just be slumlords.
Yeah, like real estate developers and stuff, but no, this guy was a doctor.
That kind of stuff, yeah. Dr. Trump was an electrical engineer and professor at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he ended up concluding that there was nothing of importance in the research and that most of it was entirely speculative. After deciding that there wasn't much to the papers, they moved it into a government storage facility. Apparently, some of the research was given to Nikola Tesla's family. Others, according to Basiago, became classified. No declassified US government records confirmed that any portion of Tesla's papers were retained after Trump's review.
Yeah, but that's exactly what they would say if they were, you know, keeping the documents as well, right?
Yeah, like, I'm very much of the opinion that just because there's no record of something being classified doesn't mean that it is. Surely there's things that are just so secret and sensitive that
that they were never referred to. Like, you're a big UFO guy.
Massive.
Yeah, so that goes hand in hand.
I have a show at the moment that tickets are on sale to, but yes.
True, good plug. You, where can people find the link to that? In the description.
They can find it at friendlyjordies.com and all good retailers of comedy in those specific cities.
People are calling it, Andrew Basiago is calling it the best show around. You should put that on the poster.
Yeah, I will. What a review. Time-traveling expert Andrew Basiago claims that this is one wild ride.
Might be dangerous considering he is a lawyer and that could be defamation potentially.
There's so many... You really don't want to fuck with Andrew Basiago, do you? Like, highly intelligent, able to read minds, move objects.
Yeah, that element
He's a
is
lawyer.
dangerous. Yeah. That element is dangerous, but I don't know. He comes across as like pretty kind in all of the stuff that I've heard. Like not a mean-spirited man, just a man who really feels passionately about his time travels.
All right. He does look it.
Yeah.
So far, really, the only thing that I've found to be wanting in any of his story is just, I think that there'd be more currents involved in time travel. And other than that, so far, it's just, yeah, but he's a nice guy and he's articulate, so I'm trusting him.
I mean, that's all I need.
Yeah.
I'm a simple
According
man.
to belief, he is. Nikola Tesla himself was intrigued and obsessed with the idea of time travel and worked tirelessly to make it happen. An anecdote was shared by him in a 1931 interview with the New York Herald Tribune, where he described a 1985 experiment with magnetic fields and high voltage electricity that caused him to perceive a timeless state.
I think that should be 1895, by the way. 1895 experiment, because if he was performing a 1985 experiment, Tesla would absolutely be a time traveler because he would have been dead by about 40 years by that point. So that is absolutely a typo, or he is a time traveler.
Yeah, can't confirm either.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
We will
Flip a
look
coin.
into this further. Past, present, and future simultaneously. People believe this to mean that he discovered time travel, or at least the mechanics necessary to manipulate time. Tesla himself attributed this as a near-death experience from his equipment operating at high electrical loads.
Yeah,
That's hilarious. Okay, so even Tesla himself saying this is not because I invented time travel machinery.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
still people out there that's just like, no, I don't think you nearly died. That doesn't seem like something that would happen when you're experimenting with inventing electricity.
No, yeah, so he's basically saying, I got zapped so hard that I had a near-death experience and saw my life flash before my eyes. Something everyone who's been in that situation talks about. And then Andrew Basiago has taken this, or other people who believe this theory have taken this as proof that Tesla was obsessed with time travel and invented time travel in that lab because he saw the past, present, and future simultaneously, apparently. Let's just go over some of the big claims in short. So Project Pegasus wasn't originally created as a time travel project, but as a program by the CIA to perform remote sensings in time of things past and present to then assist the government for the future. They would basically look into the past, see what happened, and then they would use this information to educate governments for how to prepare for the future. Or they would go into the future and see how things turn out to then come back and tell the government how to make that happen, basically. Apparently, they use these Project Pegasus devices to travel to the future and brief future presidents on their destiny as well, supposedly starting with Jimmy Carter. So, unfortunately, that means if you want to be if you wanted to be president in the future and you haven't received the time travel agency coming to tell you that you are going to be president in the future, obviously you're not going to be president in the future. That's about as much proof as you need that you're not going to be president.
Man, what a baller universe this man has constructed.
It's so colorful.
Wouldn't that be incredible? Just be at the Oval Office and then there's a ball field that goes like, and a CIA agent comes out and says like, "Good evening, Mr. Carter. Here's a briefing of your president."
It's so good. Time travel influenced the American presidency entirely. Apparently, Barack Obama knew that he was going to be president from the age of 20. This isn't a claim that Barack Obama made. This was a claim that Andrew Basiago made. I should clarify that. Andrew also claims that Barack Obama was a part of the project himself, and he traveled to Mars during an operation.
Damn.
So Barack Obama traveled to Mars using Project Pegasus when he was a child. Man, small world, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Trump's involved in this. Barack Obama is. Incredible.
Yeah. Directly, too. Not a distant relative.
No.
Obama, straight up, 10, in between maths and English class.
Andrew claims that he himself was teleported multiple times, including going back in time on several occasions to witness events. He was tasked with bringing back information on significant events like President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which was famously undocumented until this point when Andrew brought back the information. Yeah. Luckily, they sent him back in time to find out what the fuck happened then.
See, and this is incredible. Like, right, this next dot point, Jackson, come on, hero. This is...
It's true.
This is... I can't believe this. He admits that he did not see the assassination itself.
No.
That's incredible. So it's such a damn plausible storyline, isn't it? He sits there and says, I have information on this. I don't have any information on that.
Yeah. Like, why even talk about it then?
It's just great that he's got those little... It does honestly make it more plausible that you could sit there and say, what was Abraham Lincoln like? And then you say, well, I don't know. I didn't go up and talk to him. I just observed him from afar or something, you know? He's
just in the audience.
Not endlessly just pushing the envelope and saying, I
saw everything.
You know?
Yeah. We were best friends. But of course, that does fall apart when he starts talking about how Barack Obama came to visit him on Mars. Like, you can't walk your way out of that one. If you're talking about that, you may as well say you were best friends with Lincoln as well. Like, come on. Andrew, so he admits that he didn't see the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, but he does claim that he traveled to the theater on the night of Lincoln's death a number of times and even heard the fatal shot.
I believe it.
A number of times.
Yeah, he went multiple times. He loved it.
Reliving it.
Yeah. Obsessive almost.
He suffered more than Lincoln did.
He's in a purgatory of his own making.
Yeah. What a so scary Groundhog Day to be trapped in.
It's such a random one too. Like, you're forced to relive the night of Abraham Lincoln's death, but never close enough to actually see it. You just hear the gunshot. Like, why?
Is that what he's claiming? That's so good. What? So he's always just running towards the gunshot, just being like, Mr. Lincoln, over.
He's just shouting. He doesn't even make it into the theater. He's just shouting from outside, Mr. Lincoln, get down. And then he hears the gunshot before he can make it.
Never heard, because Lincoln famously was partially deaf.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't hear him over the gunshot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Why not time travel into the room then if you want to save him?
I don't know.
All right. Knowing Andrew Basiago, though, he teleported himself directly in between the bullets somehow and gets shot by the assassin. Oh, God, it's so good.
That'd be great if in the history books, all of a sudden, we just took it for granted. It's just known that mysteriously this child that had the same haircut as the Beatles got in the way of the bullet. And that's just how we know.
It just popped up out of nowhere. Yeah, that's actually in the books.
That is our history. He can't change anything. Is that the deal? He's not allowed to change history at all.
Well, that's the classic time travel argument, right? If you change the past, then the future is going to change, or the present is going to change. So
yes, but he is going by that rule. The movie rule.
if you go back in time, then what happens back there has to logically lead to the present that you have time traveled from. So yeah,
all right.
So which is why he could only hear the gunshot, I guess. He was.
God damn.
I don't know how it works. Time travels. If the Avengers couldn't do it justice, I don't think Andrew Basiago could.
Yeah, totally.
So Andrew has been to Mars on several missions and has even gotten to know the locals. Yes, he confirms that there is life on Mars. Another big claim, so we're just going through kind of a dot point of his big claims at this point.
All right.
This one came out of left field for me. I was like, how did this get into this document? Like, what is this? So he claims that the Sasquatch is real and that he saw two when he was 4 years old in August of 1966 at Lake Sacandaga in the Adirondacks of New York City. Is that made up? That's such a weird series of names. I'm assuming it might be like historical
It's a
sites?
mountain range.
Interesting. According to Andrew, it was a father and son Sasquatch that he saw.
That's very wholesome. I like that idea. Very nice. There's a small little Sasquatch learning the ropes of picking berries and stealing fishing rods.
Maybe they were time traveling Sasquatches too, like a future version of him and his dad.
Look, I am looking
Them
at
in another
pictures of
universe.
Great Lakes Sack and Dagger or whatever. And again, the story checks out.
Yeah, it does
A
exist.
Sasquatch would live there. It does exist, yes. And there is a lot of trees for them to hide in.
Wait, so he talks about this situation, Kira, when he experienced meeting or seeing the Sasquatches when he was just 4 years old. So this would have taken place before the time teleportation stuff.
Yes.
Because he started that
Think about
kind
it.
of stuff when he was 6. So he had a very eventful childhood, just in general.
Yeah.
But this isn't even connected to the time travel, really. He just saw Sasquatch.
Yeah, I saw this first when I was reading about his policies for his presidency, which is in the document later.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then I found this little anecdote about how he saw a Sasquatch. And I was like, damn, that's cool.
Okay, well, now we're veering into territory where he is just saying that he experienced everything, which does make him less credible to me. He should have said that he heard the Sasquatch instead from the distance, but he didn't actually see it or meet it.
Yes.
Then I'd be back
Yeah,
on board.
exactly.
I'd believe that. And he needed to tie it into time travel, really, for it to make sense to me. Okay, so Andrew D. Basiago's claims. This chapter is called The Truth Campaign. So Andrew has prefaced his decision to speak out on Project Pegasus with that he is unable to be prosecuted by the government. Although signing a secrecy and loyalty agreement when he was 7, it is basically void because American law says children lack the capacity to make contracts, so it means nothing and it can't be used now. Foiled again, government. You're dealing with Andrew D. Basiago, time-traveling lawyer. He knows the law, damn it. He's able to circumvent your non-disclosure agreements very easily. Maybe that's why he went into law, so that he could break his way out of this contract that he signed when he was a child. Andrew states that his decision to go public with this knowledge stems from the feeling that he has a moral duty to be a whistleblower for the things that he has experienced. In his many public speaking events, for example, his 2009 lecture at the International UFO Congress, he talks about how modern cities are growing very quickly and how highways are growing but filling up with cars just as quickly, and how he has seen the dark future up to the year 2045, where urban expansion has created enormous infrastructure problems. So that's why he wants to speak out about this now. He's seen the
It
future.
doesn't sound
and there's
that
many
dark,
cars.
does it?
Yeah, it's just congested highways.
I've seen the dark future, and it's just, yes, there is congestion, like in
You know what this
Thailand.
was? This
Okay.
dude was sick and tired of commuting to his law offices for 10 years straight. You know, like he was getting sick of waiting in traffic for 2 hours in New York. And so he came up with this magical world where he could alert the public about the dangers of congestion, highway congestion. But he needed this fantasy world first to prove it and how bad it was going to get. It really does just sound like a disgruntled lawyer who's sick of waiting in traffic. He also wanted everyone to know that the Project Manhattan scientists that were involved in the atomic bomb also created something beneficial to humanity: teleportation and time travel. So it was part warning people about the future, and also part giving the atomic bomb creators the credit that they deserved for creating something good as well. Very strange thing to include, honestly. Like, why? Why would that make him want to go public? Do you have any ideas?
He does honestly seem like a very morally guided man who seems to have morals invented in an entire alternate universe. So like, it suffers from two problems here. One, he does honestly seem quite sensitive in a weird way, just reading the profile of this man as we go along. So I can see him not being able to stand idly by while there is these injustices written into history, such as Project Manhattan just created the A-bomb, you know?
Yeah, and then these scientists were, labeled as creators of terror weapons when they actually invented good things too, like teleportation that no one is able to
that
use.
That needs to be on the record.
Yes. Wasn't that like 20 years before his time as well? Like he was time traveling in the 60s and they created the atom bomb in the 40s. So he's fighting for the justice of the scientists from 20 years ago. Well, 20 years ago at that time.
Terrible.
Very brave man. Andrew first came out with these stories of time travel in 2004 and has since embarked on his Truth campaign, which is him wanting the public to know that time travel is real. He's done countless talks, events, radio shows, podcasts, and TV appearances to get this story out. Most of the information we glean from Andrew is from these interviews, these podcasts, as well as his Internet Archive website that he maintains himself or has maintained himself over the last 2 decades. What's that website called again, Kira? It's just called projectpegasus.com or something, right?
projectpegasus.info. It's a very old school looking website.
Okay. But full of good information, good healthy information that is very believable. So if you want to hear more about that, obviously, go there and you'll hear directly from the source. We're just kind of giving a chronology of the events and stuff. Andrew claims that this device he used that day, he's unsure of the exact date, was discovered accidentally after a model from a Nikola Tesla paper was created which he simply called the Tesla Energetic Array. Its use for teleportation was not originally known until Project Pegasus was created to examine the device. He was told that its true purpose came to light when a technician walked through the energy field needing a screwdriver that was on the other side of the room and they just disappeared. The others in the room thought he had disintegrated and died. It wasn't until 6 weeks or months, Andrew is unsure, later when the technician appeared back at the lab that they realized the potential of the device. This technician had fallen through what seemed like a tunnel and ended up in Africa.
What? I don't know what that last sentence means.
Dude, I'm getting dizzy.
Me too.
Dizzy from the information overload here. So they discovered that this device was able to teleport people because a technician walked through it to get a screwdriver on the other side of the device when he then erroneously was teleported to Africa. Was workplace safety not a thing at this time?
It must not have been.
He needed that screwdriver really bad that he would walk through a green gooey portal. Fair enough. All right, so the first person, though, to intentionally teleport, not accidentally teleport, intentionally teleport, died when they asphyxiated due to the tunnel being set up too long as the device wasn't configured correctly yet. There was no memorial service due to the secrecy of this project.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Wait, if Andrew was such a moral guy, wouldn't he want the identity of this guy to be known so that he could get the credit?
He might not have known it because this information was just being told to him.
It's just
incredible.
I'm so glad this man exists.
We should get him on the podcast. I think he would actually come on the podcast.
He would absolutely say yes. But
yeah,
what is he, like a 90-year-old man?
No, he's like 65 now, I think, 70 maybe.
And he still does it.
Well, he's kind of gone AFK over the last 3-4 years, so I don't know if he's still alive at this point. I think he is, but I don't know for sure. I think his last interview was in like 2021 or 2022.
It's honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It seems like, you know that guy, Jodorowsky or whatever, that created the script for Dune originally in the 60s? And then every science fiction film since has just taken inspiration from that.
Yeah.
I really feel like this guy is that for fantasy. This is a combination of Harry Potter, Animorphs. It's like, it's all the kids' books.
I think, he's definitely taken, and I'll preface this by a big if he's lying here and none of this is true, he's definitely taken a lot of this stuff from different fantasy worlds and books and stuff like that. And
no, I think they've taken it from him.
Okay,
like even the fact that they've got the time traveling guy that comes into the president's office and says, here's your agenda over the next 4 years, and I'm not forcing you into this agenda. This is just what the space-time continuum says you'll do. That's very much like the Minister of Magic portrait in the Prime Minister's office.
Have you just been on a Harry Potter binge recently or something?
No, I just often think about that. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it's one of those things. This is what happens with fantasy, and it's a big reason why I try to stay clear of it, because I think that I'm too stupid and naive for my subconscious brain to separate the two. But there is moments in my life where I'm just sitting on a train or a car or something, and then I'll be like, yeah, Keir Starmer has one of those portraits, and he consults with the Minister of Magic every now and then.
And see, this is why you're the perfect Red Thread host.
What? Why is that a good thing?
Why is that a good thing? It's because you have the incredible ability to see the truth in the world.
Or imagine what could be.
I think I want to say that just due to the articulate nature of this man and the creative elements of him, he genuinely could have made this into an incredible book series, like a fictional world. He would have been very successful, and that's the beautiful balance.
Instead of laughed at.
Yes, that's the beautiful balance between a gifted storyteller and a conspiratorial nut job. Like if you tip too far into one direction or you go in a certain direction, like he could have just he could have focused on making this a book series instead, and I would have read the fuck out of these books.
Wouldn't I? Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, the only difference is that he's claiming that this happened.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just one little twist of the dial. Exactly.
If he just said, I made all this up, even if he said that now, I'd be like, you know what? Fair. you rule. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, even if you did make all this up, you're a very impressive, creative man, and I respect that.
But even him insisting that he didn't make it up, I still think he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
As you said before, it's just he's a clearly gifted writer.
Yes, exactly. Andrew claims that there were 140 kids involved in the project. Kids were not the first to time jump, but brought into the project as they were adaptable to the difficulties of time travel itself, and they were moldable into what the government wanted them to grow up to be, which was chrononauts. They also thought that if the kids were sent on specific missions, they could gather data without bias, and they could be more inconspicuous. That's not a good argument.
So I'll tell you the example that he gave for this.
Okay.
Because I didn't write that in. He said that if someone traveled through time and saw someone with a holster, an adult would immediately think they've got a gun. But a kid might actually look at it and think and see that, it's actually some sort of technological device that they've just got it in a holster. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yes, the wily imagination of a child.
That was his example.
Wait, so they were in this world, they were literally just sending naive, dumb kids out on time travel adventures, and they were using their dumb, naivete as a benefit for the mission. That's why they were sending kids out, because they wouldn't understand things.
Maybe, or because an adult with their experience would see the holster and think there's a gun in there. That's the only thing I really know. I've seen that so many times, but a kid hasn't, so they would actually look and see what was there. I think.
Okay, so
I think that's what he's saying.
The curiosity that was there. Okay, but also kids are weak and it's a danger to them to send them into the time unprepared. I don't know. What do you think, Gordon?
I mean, it's very stupid logic, but I do see it.
I respect the logic. I respect that he put effort into making the logic in the first place. He also said that kids also have less fear. I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah, they seem to wet themselves a lot.
Yeah. Andrew's like,
Aren't
kids
they
are the bravest of us all.
complaining and crying? Yeah.
Yeah, they're always scared. I mean, they're scared of the dark. They're gonna be more scared of time travel than us. Or is his claim that like because you don't give them the information, they don't have the ability to be scared of it yet? I don't know. I don't know what he means.
I think it's both, like that, and also they don't think about the long-term mental effects or physical effects that these sort of things will have on you if you do it.
Yeah, right. Because you didn't educate the kids. You could also do that with adults. You could just lie to the adults and they'd have less fear. Anyway, when Andrew asked his father about this and why he was willing to send his own son into dangerous waters, his father responded that humans have to be willing to do dangerous things for civilization to advance, and children have always come along with their parents on dangerous expeditions in the past. Okay, that's a good enough argument for me. These 140 space cadets weren't the first to time travel. Andrew said that when he had a conversation with his dad later in life, close to his father's death, they talked about how, back in the day, agreements were made with the Latin American governments to essentially round up orphaned kids off the streets of Latin America and bring them to the lab to be used in these time explorations. If they survived... Well, that's a sad sentence. If they survived, they would then be adopted into American families as a reward. Andrew recognized...
This is a great sentence. Kira, did you write that?
Yeah, she wrote this.
Well, I admire how you want to stick to the facts and the record of the account. Now,
Andrew
with that in
recognizes
mind,
this
yes, Jackson, please read this sentence out. It's incredible.
Andrew recognizes this as a big issue of human rights. He stands against it.
I told you he was a moral guy.
He's a very moral guy, yeah. But he also stresses that no child died and that they were then also adopted, so maybe it was a good thing in retrospect.
Yes,
Not a
the
good
graves
thing.
of morality.
Yeah. Who are we to judge?
I don't know.
Isn't it weird that he was like his father put him into this operation filled with like 140 Latin American orphans basically, and then just one American white kid essentially? A bit weird.
No, so the Latin American orphans came before the 140 space cadets.
Oh, right. Yeah, the 140 space cadets weren't the first time to time travel. So,
Yeah.
So they experimented basically with the Latin American orphans first?
That's what I gathered, yes.
Wow. Okay, well then that is a human rights issue. The kids, so the eventual American space cadets were split up into groups of 10, each designated a color, and one child was chosen to be captain. And wouldn't you believe it? Andrew says that he was the captain of the blue team.
Of the blue
he was the
team.
coolest.
The best
He was
one.
the coolest one, yeah. Yeah, he was getting... he was the
Always
coolest guy.
the team to win in little athletics.
Yeah. You know what this means? He was the captain and he was giving orders to Barack Obama on blue team. So Andrew was cooler than Barack Obama. Isn't that always the thing with conspiracy theories? It's always, I'm the coolest person. I'm the only one that sees the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like quite uncanny, isn't it? How everybody that is at the epicenter of one of these conspiracy theories always has all of these extra powers and extra, intelligences and abilities.
Yeah,
that
membership
don't really
Mensa.
fit in with the conspiracy theory. They're just awesome in every way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I was going to make a conspiracy theory, though, I'd do the same thing. I'm not going to write about how much of a loser I am.
Yeah. But again, if you were trying to be more credible, you would try and write yourself as a flawed character.
Well, that was mean. If you were being honest, Jackson, you'd write yourself as a giant fucking loser.
If you were being honest.
Anyway, Andrew was involved in 8 different types of different distinct time travel. Most were in development and experimental and very dangerous. One of these methods of time travel was called remote viewing, essentially using the mind to astral project to psychically observed distant locations or times. I feel like if Andrew was still around in the current era of TikTok and stuff, he'd kill it as a TikTok witch.
Yeah.
There was also the method called astral travel, where they were physically spun around on a circular table at a rate of 33 rotations per minute. That's a specific detail. This was primarily used to train the individual to go out of the body and into the astral realms, a process described as being similar to lucid dreaming. Have you ever lucid dreamed?
Never. I've tried.
What have you done to try?
I don't know. I just looked up Google how to lucid dream.
What a
I did it for
concerted
like
effort.
a few nights and then forgot about it.
Your effort of trying was just thinking really hard before bed. I want a lucid dream.
Yeah,
you gotta
that's
do
pretty
stuff.
much, that is one of the steps. Yes.
No, you got to do stuff, don't you? You got to
Well, you
lay
got to
upside
train
down and
yourself.
stuff.
Apparently, the way to lucid dream is that you train yourself that every time you leave a room, you flick the lights on and off, and then that becomes a trigger in your dream that when you're leaving the room, you flick the lights on and off, and if you look up at the ceiling, like the light kind of just stays the same, even though you're.
Isn't that the
flicking it.
Inception thing where, like, if you spin the spinning top and it falls over, then you know you're in the dream, or it doesn't fall over, then you know you're in the dream?
Yes, yeah. Some
It's the same
kind
concept.
of triggering effect
Anchored
like
object.
that. Anchored
Yeah.
object. Yes. Have you guys tried?
Lucid dreaming? I haven't tried it, but I feel like I have lucid dreamt before. You know what I have had though, and it is the most terrifying thing ever, is sleep paralysis. I've had it several times now, where I'll just wake up still in like a dreamlike state, but I'm kind of aware that I'm asleep, but I'm just paralyzed in real life, like screaming at myself to wake up as like some out of body experience happens. Essentially, it's like being. I don't know how to describe it really, but it's like being paralyzed and trying to wake up at the same time.
Oh, yeah, it is not pleasant.
You've had it
The
as
thing
well?
is- yeah, but that is the only time that I have a lucid dream. I'm kind of aware that I am in sleep paralysis. I'm like, there's not really a ghost fingering me at the moment. It's
I hope not.
really happening. I hope maybe they are. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what sleep paralysis is. You are just seeing into the spiritual dimension and getting fingered by a ghost constantly. I don't want to know about the spiritual world if there is one.
Neither do I. Oh, it'd be too terrifying. But that's always the case, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Do you feel like that? When you guys are in sleep paralysis, do you sort of know?
Yes. Well, yeah, for sure. I know, but it's still scary. Like, I know when I'm
Yes.
watching a horror movie, it's not real, but it's still fucking scary.
It's still scary. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Kira, what about you? Have you experienced either of those things?
No, never.
Yeah,
You've
Kira's
never had one.
No,
You,
never.
you have the best sleep. You sleep so well. I'm always so jealous of your sleep. And also the fact that whenever you wake up, you have beautiful, pleasant, like, girl dreams. Like, just very like, you'll dream about going to the shops or something and getting like your favorite product or drinking a nice tea or something. Like, my dreams are so fucked up in comparison. Like, my teeth are falling out and I'm desperately trying to keep the teeth
I've
in my
dreamt that
mouth.
my teeth are falling out before. But most of my dreams are some sort of strange variation on real life. There was that one really cool dream where I dreamt that I was walking a path near my parents' house and it just suddenly turned into this massive, like, Arctic zoo. That was really cool.
Why can't I have dreams like that?
Yeah, that's
Instead
great.
of getting like, instead
It
of
was
getting
awesome.
slowly devoured by a giant spider constantly. Fuck. So jealous.
Jesus Christ. Slowly as well. It's not even quick.
Yeah. No. I always, every time I have a weird dream, I always try to like research into like what the fuck is going on with my mind to come up with that shit. Like, what am I feeling? Apparently with the teeth falling out, it's a sign of like a fear of change or something like that, or anxiety.
No,
or
it's
something
always
like that.
about change. Everything.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, that's
never
what
a
they always
sign
say.
that isn't about that.
Yeah, I would love to know what my dreams mean, but it's an unproven science, fortunately.
Yeah, and on top of yours are very abstract. There's nothing there. It's
Well, what are yours
you
like?
can sort of do it if you just go to school and then you're just like, oh my god, I forgot my homework, and then you wake up and you forget your homework, you know. But yours isn't that. I don't have dreams anymore. Ever since I started getting into politics, this is my sleep routine. I go to sleep.
Sentence.
It's horrible. This is my routine for going to sleep every night. It's thinking about someone that has personally wronged me and how much I hate them, and then I'm unconscious, and then I wake up and I'm still thinking about that person that has wronged me and how much I hate them.
Oh my God.
And that's
Okay, that's interesting. So I dream about these horrible things, but you just live it.
I just live the nightmare endlessly.
Yeah. You live the spider
With no
slowly
break.
eating you.
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's exactly what it is. A slow spider eating you. It'd be so much better to have Kira's dreams where you're just like, oh,
God, I'm so
mad,
jealous.
2 for 1 Chupa Chups. That's sick. What is it? And then you wake up.
It's so nice. I'm always so jealous of her when she wakes up. I'm like, I had another bad dream. she's like skipping off into the distance, all happy, starting her day on a positive note. Meanwhile, I'm like rocking
So
back and forth in
good.
my bed. It actually makes me not want to sleep
Sick.
sometimes, where I'm like,
Totally.
I don't know what my brain is going to conjure up tonight for me. All right, so another one of these devices in Project Pegasus was the Montauk.
Montauk, I think it is.
Montauk. Isn't there a cryptid called the Montauk Beast or something? That's also a cryptid, isn't it?
I don't know.
Look it up. Let's see. Is it?
The Montauk Monster.
Yeah. Okay. So it
yeah,
is.
that's the one that was found on a beach.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So there was also the Montauk chair. This chair looked like a dentist chair, and it was apparently reverse engineered from an alien craft using magnetic transduction to project consciousness forward. To project consciousness forward to future moments. He describes this as like living in the moment you were going to, not so much just viewing it. Unlike the past two, this was a more physical time travel. And then the other devices and creations were the chronovisor, which was originally discovered by Vatican researchers, Stargate for vast time-space jumps, plasma confinement chamber, which was a wormhole generating device that could embed travelers in the past until the effect dissipated, and the jump room, which was a Lockheed Parsons collaboration creation for interplanetary teleportation, like from Earth to Mars. The chronovisor was originally discovered by Vatican researchers. Why do they always, all of these conspiracy theories always include the Vatican or like the Pope and stuff? Have you noticed that? It's a big
Always.
conspiratorial element. I love
Isn't
that.
it?
It's great. So the primary device was the Tesla teleporter, though, and this was the device that Andrew first used that day with his father. Andrew described how they would need to scrunch up into a ball when throwing themselves through the teleporter, because if any part of their body didn't go through at the appropriate speed or angle, it would disappear. He recorded a time during a podcast appearance on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, where a boy he teleported to through into Santa Fe with. This boy landed in a fountain, but because he landed in this 3 inches of water, it disrupted the teleportation process because of the gravity of the water being heavier. So the boy's feet arrived a split second later to the rest of his body, creating an odd visual effect. But he did clarify and explicitly state, he did not explicitly state that the boy suffered long-lasting harm from the event, which is good. That's good. So there's a lot of science. A lot of things that you have to account for when time traveling. Make sure you don't teleport into water. The project began with teleportation, but quickly moved on to traveling time itself. This was different from teleportation, which required another device to get back to where they originally were. If they used this for teleportation, they would essentially get stuck wherever they landed. Andrew has stated many times that he was not an engineer during this time. He was just the best goddamn chrononaut the government had. Regardless, he had no technical knowledge, but everything he says was gathered from things that he had observed during his time exploring the cosmos. The technology for time travel was different. He described it as more like using a sort of hologram. He explains it in an interview with Studio 10 around 5 years ago that they would stand on a sort of stage and a cubical hologram would form around them. The time in the past or future that they wanted to go to would then need to be focused on by the person traveling, and then they would travel there, accessing it as what he called, oh my God, this is what you were telling me about, Kira, what he called a superliminal superpositional path position. What the fuck? To describe what he means there, and I wrote this part because I was trying to explore what the fuck this meant. So superliminal is probably derived from subliminal, with super suggesting it means something beyond or heightened, as opposed to subliminal, which means below perception. Superpositional probably refers to the quantum mechanic where a particle exists in multiple states until observed.
Yeah.
Basically, you understand this? It makes complete sense.
Yeah, I'm following. Yeah.
Basically, it probably means that state of amplified consciousness, so superliminal, would enable someone to exist across time points, superpositional, where they would then navigate the path. For someone potentially making stuff up on the fly, it is impressive that he was able to come up with this word salad that I then spent 30 minutes trying to decipher what the fuck it meant. Traveling into the past was described by Andrew as being, quote, like they were sending us to slightly different alternative realities on adjacent timelines. As these visits began to accumulate, I twice ran into myself during 2 different visits. The first time I was about 7 years old and I saw myself standing there looking back at me in a kind of eerie recognition. I wonder if this is just like his version of sleep paralysis almost, or lucid dreaming. Maybe he just had like really believable dreams that he has then tricked himself into believing in his like 6-year-old delusions.
Yeah, but it's like so much information. Was he dreaming for like 6 months straight?
Yeah. Well, I feel like if I had a really peculiar dream and then I convinced myself that it actually happened, I would then fill in the details around it, trying to make sense of it. Like if I genuinely believed that the dream was real,
Yeah.
I would try to make it work.
This is the thing that you always wonder with these people, isn't it? It's like, come on, what's really happening in your head?
Yeah, how did you get
What's
here?
really going on? How did you get here? What's going on? Do you know it's a lie?
I wish I could create a device that would put me in the thoughts of someone else so I could experience their life and how they think of things and how they perceive things. It would be really cool.
Yeah.
There was another device of time travel he says that was called the plasma confinement chamber, created by Dr. Sterling Colgate. The toothpaste guy?
Is it?
He made some toothpaste on the side.
Yeah, that was a side project.
Dr. Colgate.
Was a nuclear physicist who also worked at Lanel and the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. Using this chamber, they would have to walk into radioactive plasma and essentially collapse into a wormhole for 30 minutes. After this period of travel, they would then end up in the past. This is what he was used to get Andrew to Gettysburg. They continued to develop these teleporter devices to be able to go into the future. One called Stargate sent Andrew all the way to 2045, which was as far into the future as he was able to get. But keep in mind, this was 50 years ago. So that was, at the time, 100 years in the future. God, that's scary. When he was in the 2040s, he would pick up data scrolls that would then be handed over to the government when he would travel back. So you're right. It basically is like the fucking thing where the guy like just pops into the president's office and hands him a document and then vanishes through a portal. It is literally that.
Well, he's saying it.
He's saying it, so it must be true. That's as good as an argument as any for this, really. Well, he's saying it.
Honestly, it's the way that you have to go about this, isn't it?
100%.
It
was a recount.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go on. Is there people that are true believers of this guy?
I did see comments of people saying, yeah, I believe him, or he speaks so well and he's so articulate.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% believe that there are people that genuinely believe him. Because think about it, like there are people that believe that the government have time travel abilities or projects related to time travel. 100%. There are people out there that 100% believe that that's a reality. So then they see this story and it confirms their inherent belief that the government has this technology. Yeah. Yes. So then they use this as proof for that. So that they have to believe it. Andrew said that when he left the project in 1972, he was tortured by needles being put up his spine, which brought on a bad headache while having to talk about everything he had experienced through the program for around 4 hours. He says this was their attempt to get him to forget about his experiences. Essentially, the headache would replace his memories of what happened. They only tried for 4 hours. That was all they, like, he had all their secrets and they were like, yeah, we'll spend a half a day on...
This is enough. Yeah.
Erasing his memories. That's good enough.
That keeps someone who got tried by Bay on suspicion for like 20 years. But this guy,
Andrew,
we'll give you some bad acupuncture and then you're free to go.
For 4 hours. Yeah, I mean, if this was actual reality, this guy would have been shot in the head by a CIA agent or, stuck in like a Guantanamo Bay forever.
Yeah. Instead of, we'll let you go, but you have to promise not to talk about this incredibly fantastical adventure.
And then he does talk about it and they do nothing. They're like, well, fuck. What are we going to do?
Hey, I told him not to. Yeah.
The headache needles didn't work.
They had no plan B. It's silly because every time you ever say this to those people and then you say, well, why haven't you been assassinated yet? Their answer seems to always be, because if they keep me alive, I just seem like I'm a nut. But if I die, then they know that I'm telling the truth. But the thing is, it's very easy for the CIA to make something look like an accident. Like, yes, a lot of the time they can bung it up with a mysterious car exploding or something. But, it's not that hard to replace someone's aspirin with cyanide.
I feel like Andrew is going to fake his death at some point. Like we'll find his body with like acupuncture needles in his back and he's dead. Yeah. Like he's that dedicated to this story that he is going to like make his death in such a way that it confirms the story. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do eventually find his body in a way that insinuates CIA intervention.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is his legacy. I'm impressed. So Andrew's father had a heart attack at the age of 53 while he was at work. Andrew has pondered if it was due to his father's health or possibly a government hit, as his father was more outspoken on what was happening behind closed doors with programs like Project Pegasus, and he had pushed internally for it to be declassified. So his poor dad didn't get the acupuncture treatment, he just got a bullet in the head or a heart attack. He got poked by the headache needles and it induced a heart attack instead. Unfortunate. When he talks about his father, Andrew brings up an interesting topic. Andrew always knew his father to have gone grey by the age of 16, but there is a photo of him at 28 with dark brown hair. Andrew says that it could have been hair dye, but he truly believes it was a timeline issue to do with time travel. Grey hair Raymond, his dad, was the one from Andrew's timeline, whereas the one with dark brown hair was our timeline's one. So that's why there's that inconsistency with his memories and what photos we have of Raymond. Raymond. Which, that makes sense. Okay, so you're going to love this section because it's got to do with aliens, so you can take this one.
Traveling to Mars and Barack Obama? Circling back to one of Andrew's biggest claims.
That's the chapter title, by the way, for the people in the audience. All right. Read it loud and clear because people need to know this information.
He visited Mars, and yes, there were aliens there. The goals for the Mars project were establish an extraterrestrial defense regime protecting Earth. 10-year-olds are done with this, okay. Create a basis for claiming US territorial sovereignty over Mars. Acclimate Martian humanoids and animals to human presence.
We got to domesticate them. Yeah, that is kind of... again, sending 10-year-olds on this mission, like a kid extraterrestrial defense regime protecting Earth.
So when he was talking about all this, there were definitely other people involved on the program. I think the kids were essentially kind of used as like delivery people and runners and stuff like that.
For child labor.
Yeah.
Child labor. Okay. There were 10 teenagers in the Mars program. One Andrew, another man was named William B. Stillings. Again, not a made-up name. Who?
No, it actually is
vocal. That's a
It actually
real
is
person.
It's a real person, and as you're going to find out, he entirely corroborates Andrew's stories. I know. There's more people. There's more people involved.
It's been confirmed. Sick. Okay. Has also talked publicly about his time in the program, and also apparently Barack Obama, and also
a real person
named Regina Dugan. Is she real as well, or is it just Obama?
Both.
Possibly real.
All of these 4 people are real. Andrew, William, Barack Obama, and Regina Dugan are all real.
Big calls. On William B. Stillings, he exists public records suggesting that he was born around 1968 and has ties to technical education like ITT Technical Institute, and records suggest possible work in biopharmaceutical or defense-related fields. In 2011, he went public, and his accounts, like Basiago's, are extremely detailed and consistent with Andrew's. Andrew has said that he was there was a 3-week learning block in the summer of 1980 to teach and prepare them for trips to Mars. Oh, sick, so, that is summer camp.
Yeah, Andrew and William just went to space camp, but they were too stupid to realize. And they thought they were actually on Mars, maybe.
Andrew says that Obama went by the name Barry Soetoro, which is consistent, as from age 6 to 10, Barack Obama was registered at his Indonesian school at this name. Damn.
As this
there
name,
you go.
He was actually, there's records showing that Barack Obama did go by Barry Soetoro back when he was a child. But I mean,
during the
Andrew would have known this, obviously, just by doing a little bit of Wikipedia research. So
this was during the 60s, a time when Barack was a child and when the program was active. For 2 years, the group would teleport to Mars by a jump room that was located in a building opposite to the Los Angeles airport. Andrew and William have both said that Obama definitely went to Mars twice, and they would see him a few times in the building outside these jump missions. Here's the quote. I can confirm that Andrew D. Basiago and Barack Obama, using the name Barry Soetoro, were in my Mars training course in summer of 1980, and during the time period of 1981 to 1983, I encountered Andy Courtney M. Hunt of the CIA and other Americans on the surface of Mars after reaching Mars via the jump room of El Segundo, California.
And that was a quote from William Stillings.
That's a quote from William Stillings. And who is William Stillings? Do we get into that?
Well, yeah, we basically did. I mean, there's not a lot of information known about him, but yeah, he does exist. There's public records that speak about him. He's his own distinct person, separate from Andrew. Now, if I wanted to take a critical angle of this, it's possible that he's just a friend of Andrew who's going along with it. Like, they're 2 beer buddies, basically, like two dudes who work at the same law firm or something, and they're like, hey, we should make up a dumb story about time traveling and shit like that. Like, obviously, there could be some level of collaboration there about pranking everyone. But, I mean, the way it's painted here...
so would require some kind of time traveling device, which only further corroborates the story.
Yeah, everything works out for them. Yeah, but he's real. He's real. He's absolutely real.
He's a real man.
And he does corroborate with detail everything that Andrew has said.
Barry Soetoro, a student at Occidental College, was in my Mars training class under Major Ed Dames at the College of so many weird names. Siskios in Weed, California in 1980. The fact has been corroborated by one of my other classmates, Brett Stillings. 2 years later, when he was taller, thinner, more mature, a better listener, using the name Barack Obama and attending a different college, Columbia University, we crossed paths again in Los Angeles, and I didn't recognize him as the person that I had been trained with in the Mars program and encountered on the surface of Mars. In fact, doing so would be virtually impossible in any case because measures had been taken to block our later memories of Mars shortly after we completed our training in 1980.
That was Andrew Basiago on Barack Obama being in the Mars program.
Okay. Well, that was sort of backtracking on his previous statements, but still. Another man who apparently trained with Andrew, Bernard Mendez, attempted to try and talk to Obama years later. According to Bernard, Barack only spoke through an intermediary, but Obama said that he remembered Andrew vividly, but all of his memories of the time with the program were fuzzy and dreamlike. Apparently, this was because they were using the American version of the Soviet leader device, which was an actual device created in the 1950s to alter brainwaves and block memories. Barack Obama told Bernard that once he left the office, he would tell the truth and admit to the world that the project exists, and yet he wussed out.
Yeah, pussy.
Yeah. That and the JFK papers.
Yeah, they always
very, very
backtrack.
Disappointing president. Yep. They always backtrack, don't they?
When it comes to time travel.
This man that promised through another man. When they made their first trips to Mars, it was traditional to do it solo. This was to make sure that they had...
What a word, traditional. Like this had been like a generational operation.
Yes, as was
it had been in process for like 2 years.
Highly experimental technology. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this was to make sure if they ever needed to do a full mission in the future on their own, they already had the confidence and ability to do so. When Andrew first jumped to Mars, he explained that he found himself in an elevator on Mars that came out of the ground from a skull-like structure. And then there's a picture of Andrew showing a skull from a NASA image of Mars. This is not one he originally arrived in, but one that is similar. But what the hell?
Okay, for people watching, for listening to this, it's a picture of Andrew Basiago pointing at a projected images on a board. He's pointing to one image, a very grainy image of Mars. I cannot make any detail out about what he's pointing at, but I assume he's pointing to what he perceives to be a skull structure on Mars. And then the picture on the right is, I think, something he kind of relates it to. It's like another stone structure. It's not the one that he's talking about. It's not on Mars. He's just saying that it looked like this. Can you see anything in the left picture? This looks like a Rorschach test or whatever the fuck they're called.
What the hell's that?
Fuck, did I say it right? Rorschach test. It's like the it's like the ink blot tests, like the pictures of the moths.
Oh, okay. Yes, all right.
Do you remember those?
I've seen other people in various cartoons do them.
Yes, okay. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like that. It's just like a very blurry, grainy mess. Do you see anything there?
To me,
no.
It doesn't. It's not like a complete skull. The biggest black, dips in the surface that he's pointing at are the eyes.
The eyes, okay.
And the one underneath is the nose, and then the mouth is out of image. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, okay. All right. I sort of see it now.
Is it a structure? Is that meant to be a structure, or is it a those black holes like just craters on Mars? Because I can't tell.
I don't know also why next to it is just some Afghani man's house.
Yeah. I think he's saying
that in a minute.
That's what it.
Oh, you read about that later? All right, well.
Yeah, there's something like that later.
Furthering on, the skulls and heads on Mars, Andrew explains that they are used by Martians to identify access points to their underground civilization. His second trip was more eventful. After adventuring just under a kilometre from the skull, his team discovered a rock-like house structure. It had a door. It was even described as a screen door. Near the door, the structure was a man-like figure whose lower body was similar to a grub and was leashed up like a guard dog.
Was that some Martian racism from you, Kira?
Grub man.
That's exactly how he described it. And
wow.
So like a worm. No, like a bug.
Like a little worm?
Yeah, a grub.
He's
like
a bug. He's a little grub man that's tied up.
He's human at the top and bug at the bottom?
Like one of these.
Has he drawn any pictures of this?
No.
Oh, like a witchetty grub, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But how would he move? How would it walk if his body from the waist up was human and then from the bottom was just like a little witchetty grub?
Yeah, he just wriggles along. Can't you see this?
I can see
very simple biogeometrics. Yeah, go on.
I can see it, but I don't see why anything would have evolved that way. Right. And it was
I don't know that either. What the hell? Like just a really unimpressive centaur. It came at
exactly. It sounds
Andrew
like movement would have been impossible for it.
Yeah, it's a dumb evolutionary defect. I'll give you that. It came at Andrew and his companion, who confidently stepped forward to intimidate it. What? This worked. And the human grub mix turned around. This is great. This is so much better than the phrase centaur anyway. Human grub mix.
Yeah, like it's a fucking breed of designer dog.
Yeah. It turned around and began to wail. Why? Because, two 10-year-olds stood their ground and then it started screaming in terror.
Well, I mean, it's
and that's even more horrifying. I'd be more scared of that than it attacking me, being like...
If the grub thing started wailing for some reason.
Yeah. And for very little reason, too.
Yeah.
They also went to visit an American settler. Really?
Yeah, there were ranches on Mars. Yeah.
Holy hell.
It's like a Futurama episode.
Sitting out on a ranch. Incredible.
It literally is like a Futurama
Farming
episode.
grub men. It is. His companion had died, and it seemed like this settler was not doing well with canned goods. Really, sprawled across the floor, and the team noted that the man was jittery and all over the place.
Okay, so this farmer had the grub man, human grub mix thing, like at his front
As
door
a guard
guarding
dog.
guard dog. Wait, were they breeding? Were the Martians like entirely grub people, and then like this grub human mix was like a byproduct of them crossbreeding? Potentially?
Yeah, see, this is very annoying that he really gleans over the grub man and man slowly turning insane that doesn't seem to have any access to oxygen.
That's why he's going insane. Extreme oxygen deprivation.
But we don't know because he's so scant on this part. He glosses over this.
This isn't important.
He goes into great detail about just being like, if you look here, this looks like a skull on Mars. That's in like, he's going on about that forever. He had one mission to Mars. He was given a floppy disk. Damn. Height of technology from Rand Corporation, an American non-for-profit which does research services and public policy analysis, which he took to Mars. He described walking through what was like a shattered, broken, rundown city where he was tasked with taking that information to sustain telecommunications that had been placed into a brick building. Here we go.
That is so detailed. So he took a floppy disk from, he specifically names the corporation, describes why they wanted to do it, why they wanted to take this floppy disk, describes the building and like that it was information that was needed to sustain the telecommunications grid, basically. It's so detailed.
Isn't it?
See, again, like you said, he put more detail into this part than the fucking grub human.
Into his delivery.
Yeah.
He's basically just a FedEx worker.
He's a consummate professional. That's where all of his focus was, not the human grub mix.
Yeah. That whole time he's just like, I'm sorry, are you going to sign off on this floppy disk?
Yeah.
What? That's all you care about?
He's going to make a Facebook post when he gets back about how people need to tie up their human grub mix dogs properly so that they don't annoy postal workers.
He clarified he didn't know if it was an American brick building or a Martian one. The building was partially demolished, but an American technician had set up of around 8 different devices. Andrew simply handed over the disk, and that was his mission.
Yeah, he wasn't paid to ask questions, damn it.
On this mission, he saw children of an alien species who were wearing long black kaftans, and it was described as looking cute.
All right, weird.
And they went to Mars. Yes. They had to wear a respiratory device, as well as having weapons on them at times for protection. They were told to avoid encountering any of the predatory species on Mars so as not to be eaten by them. Good advice. Andrew says these are the 2 main types of predators on Mars. Oh, okay. All right, so he's describing them. One is a plesiosaural-like creature that swims around in the sand.
Please.
Is it?
Plesiosaur.
Thick Loch Ness monster with teeth, all the way down its throat, but it could not run very fast. But yes, but it's got flippers then, doesn't it? So it can't run. What's it doing in the desert?
Why did it evolve? What was the biological reason for this thing existing? Surely it would have died out very quickly if it was a plesiosaur on land.
Look, when it comes to the biology of Mars, I feel like he should have borrowed off of Frank Herbert. Giant worms that dig around in the sand make sense, don't they?
Yeah, maybe he hadn't.
But just
read
the Loch Ness
Dune.
Monster now on Mars. It's not plausible when it's in Scotland. It's really strange for it to be up there.
Yeah.
The more lethal one was like a T-Rex. Oh, okay, here we go. Jackson.
There we go.
In the head.
I'm in.
And a velociraptor body, which again, why would you
Makes no
evolve to have
sense.
a really large head?
And then a small raptor body.
Yeah, a stupid bobblehead. That's what you have.
This guy, again, with the fiction, he literally probably just saw Jurassic Park and then he was like, yeah, those two dinosaurs are pretty
Yes.
cool. I'm going to combine them.
Oh,
and
this
put
is
them in my
unlocking some
story."
of my secret memories. Yeah. The teenagers were told that if they were spotted by one of these, they were pretty much dead. And they had to try and run in zigzags to attempt to make these creatures disinterested in them. All right, well, yeah, no, he's borrowing from Crocs there, so that's all right.
Yeah, crocodiles. Well, with the plesiosaur, that makes sense. But the T-Rex, if it has a velociraptor body, it has feet. So it will probably run pretty fast. Like, if a cheetah was chasing you, you should probably run straight, right? To get as much distance as possible instead of zigzag.
Yeah, I probably think that a cheetah would be very good at changing directions, unlike a crocodile that sort of wobbles around on land.
Yeah. So I think if it's a thing well suited for running on land, your best bet is probably just running straight or pretending to be dead or something, as opposed to zigzagging.
The weapon they were equipped with was a photo ray gun. It was only to be used on small threats. Once fired, the gun would disintegrate the danger. Andrew mused in one of his talks that he was originally shown how it worked on a goat.
Okay.
Damn.
Why only
he really
on small
did just
threats?
watch Jurassic Park, didn't he?
Yeah, I was gonna say that literally just the goat from Jurassic Park. He literally just watched it. Why only small threats though? You've got fucking giant T-Rex Velociraptor hybrids out there, and you give them a weapon that's only capable of taking out goats.
I think because it wasn't strong enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it was still in the development stage back then.
Yeah.
Look, the small ray gun, again, I'm going to have to believe that part of it. The grub child, what are we in, guys? Yes or no? Did that exist?
Yeah, I'm down. Yes.
Yeah, the grub child existed.
I don't know about that one.
Grub child, absolutely.
Here's a 50-50 on it. Much like the animal itself. Huh?
I'm all in on the grub child.
You're all in on the grub child. And then I think we're all in agreement that the Velociraptor with a T-Rex's head, we're going to have to see some proof.
No, I'm all in on that. I don't want to live in a reality where that isn't a thing. So I'm 100% down for that.
It's just so stupid. It really doesn't sound threatening at all. It really sounds like it would break its neck very easily. You know?
That's what all of these creations are. They don't make any sense in like genuine livable things. Like it seems like the kind of thing that if it existed, it would die immediately.
Actually, all right, I'll give him this. I'm assuming that gravity isn't as intense as it is on Earth.
Oh my god, yeah. Wait, is it stronger on Mars or?
I bet you it's weaker, surely.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
strength
weaker.
to do with the size of the planet?
The density, right?
Density, okay.
I don't know enough.
It seems like it's weaker than Earth.
Yeah, all right. All right, so the big head T-Rex thing exists. The plesiosaur, I'm going to have to draw the line at that one. I just don't think there's enough water on Mars to sustain such
but
a
if
creature.
if it's weaker, it could just like kind of propel itself off the ground and like float through the air and like swim through the air even.
But what's it eating?
Plankton. I don't know.
Plankton. Okay, well, all right. As long as we have an answer for it.
The grub children.
The grub.
I don't know.
Andrew
I
was
wouldn't know.
described the three main different typologies of Martians on Mars. There's Homo martiensis, or whatever. He's got some Latin name for it, so it must be real. There's a good chance I've spelled this wrong. Because, Jesus Christ, Kira, you're really checking your facts here. But it did have the picture of Dr. Evil from Austin Powers doing his signature pinky to the mouth pose.
In the slideshow when talking about this one? Okay.
When he was talking about it, so the name of this Martian wasn't on the slideshow, so I couldn't copy it exactly.
Right.
He just said it. But to describe this alien, he had a picture of Dr. Evil.
What does that mean?
That it looks like Dr. Evil?
I'm guessing it looks like Dr. Evil. That's what I got from that information.
It's just a planet full of grubs, dinosaurs, and Mike Myers. Sounds awful.
It does sound awful, doesn't it?
It sounds really bad.
Homo martis, the indigenous Martians, creepy and similar to Nosferatu, really, in the original silent film, but a touch more cute. When he met one of these creatures, Andrew described as being quite kind, and it even gave him a tour of where he lived. Okay. Nice Dracula. The third one, he didn't give a name. God. See, it's really weird how at some points he does his homework and then in other ones he just totally skims it in.
Yeah, he just stops.
And he's talking about the more interesting aspects, which is, yes, I've contacted other sentient beings. There's the one that looks like Dracula, the one that doesn't look like Dracula, and of course, the third one. Didn't give it a name, but said that they looked more like your standard grey extraterrestrials. There we go.
Yeah, it's
but
very interesting.
More if they were crossbred with a lemur. Just leave it at the grey. Why did you have to chuck that in?
What's with his crossbreeding kick? Every single thing he's described
it looks like
so
this
far.
Mixed with this.
Yeah. Even the Velociraptor T-Rex. Well, it is very interesting to see where he does stop giving details, like where he just kind of gives up, like you said.
He gives up, doesn't he?
Yeah. There is a limit to man's creativity.
Sorry, in either that or it's in the middle of another 6-hour presentation,
just so
deep
much-
in the depths of some other information that we missed.
Yeah, there's
But in
so
that
much data
one,
out there.
he did not give a name for it.
During one of Andrew's talks, he explained how himself, Brett, and Bernard have different explanations on how they were actually on Mars. Brett claims that they were actually there in real time, where Bernard believes that they experienced a synthetic quantum environment. Yeah, okay. All right. So there is disputes.
There's drama between the chrononauts.
Andrew believes it was a mixture of both. They have provided different interpretations of their experiences to corroborate their theories. For example, Brett points to the fact that the Martian moons Phoebus and Deimos were in correct positions. Bernard points to it needing to have been a simulation due to Mars's lack of ionosphere radiating the jumpers otherwise. Andrew points to the fact that the jump from Mars to Earth took longer in 1981 than in 1984. And he says the first one took 20 minutes and the second one took 8 minutes. He points that this was proof suggesting that they had actually physically visited Mars due to Mars being closer to Earth in 1984 as opposed to 1981 due to the orbits.
But which one points to the simulation? So the first guy, Brett, points to the fact that the Martian moons were in the correct positions as proof that they physically visited the Mars. But wouldn't that still be possible in a simulation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not really good proof, Brett. At least
I don't
there's
really
some logic
understand
behind
what
Andrews.
The proof is. I guess, yeah.
Andrews
There
makes
is.
sense. Even Bernard's makes sense. Like they didn't like get radiated or whatever.
Yeah.
So it had to be a simulation. Yeah. I don't know why we're talking about this seriously. All right. So the proof, if you can believe it, there isn't much proof to back what Andrew and the others have claimed, besides one strange photo. The photo is of Lincoln at Gettysburg in November 1863, which Andrew said he went to which Andrew said he went back in time to, there we go, at the age of 10. So we're going to put this up on screen right now with a big giant red arrow pointing directly at what Andrew claims is himself as a 10-year-old child back in the Gettysburg Address. Andrew claims that to fit in, he wore a Union winter parka. When he got there, he lost his shoes due to the nature of time travel. Warning, you may lose your shoes during time travel. He says he continued on to Gettysburg, where he came across a man named John Burns, who gave him a pair of shoes after seeing how cold he looked. Since the shoes were from a grown adult man, they were way too big. He points to this, along with the boy's modern stance, as in how the boy was standing in the photo, and the blurry face of the boy in the photo as undeniable proof that it is him, because the reason his head is blurry is due to the nature of time travel.
But everyone else's head is blurry.
Yeah, I was going to say, literally everything in this picture is blurry. It's an old fucking photo from the 1800s. Like, everything is blurry here.
All right, but so
these shoes are big.
For whatever reason, time travel makes your head blurry.
In photos.
In photos. Yeah. And it's undeniable proof that it's him because he claims that someone gave him big shoes.
Yeah, and also he was, like, everyone else is standing all old-timey like, whereas he's leaning back all cool with his 60s modern stance.
No, is that
hands
right?
in his
All right, so
pockets.
that's how it's modern.
Yeah, that's how it's modern.
All right.
Andrew claims that the CIA in the 1970s confirmed that the boy in the image was him, but there is no evidence of this. And this is a quote from Andrew on the image. And again, remember that this is the only proof other than, I guess, the substantiated claims between the three people who have gone public about this story, which isn't really proof, but, you know, whatever. This is his quote. Andrew on the image: I had been dressed in period clothing as a Union bugle boy. I attracted so much attention at the Lincoln speech at Gettysburg, wearing oversized men's street shoes, that I left the area around the dais and walked around 100 paces over to where I was photographed in the Josephine Cog image of Lincoln at Gettysburg. And yeah, that's about it in terms of the proof.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that good enough for you? That's good enough for me. I don't need photos of the Martian grub men. This picture of him at the Gettysburg Address.
Yeah, you need that. That corroborates everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just pointing to it now. Okay, yeah.
We come to the final part. What Andrew is now up to after the time traveling. So Andrew announced that he was running for presidency at the end of 2015. He says that through his previous time travel expeditions, he has seen that he will be either president or vice president anywhere between 2016 to 2028. So I guess in 3 years we will know. We will know if he was lying or telling the truth.
Come on.
There is a limit to wait, isn't it already over? Because Trump is president until 2028 now.
I think there's like
no, but like
there's one
still
more.
somehow magically become president or vice president.
Yeah, he's gonna he would have to be the entire State of the Union or whatever would have to die mysteriously for him to potentially take over. Maybe. I guess he could be elected in 2028 though. The 2028 election, and then it would count. This next election is make or break for this. That's when we will know. Also, the fact that this time traveler doesn't have an exact date for when he would potentially be president.
But everything else is so precise. Yes.
Yeah, everything else is perfect. According to information on a website, he has not run for president since 2016. So I guess he called in the towel in the 2020 elections. He realized that wasn't his year.
Yeah, he's just waiting it out to 2028, biding his time, honing his lines.
He didn't throw his hat in the ring on the 2020 or 24 elections. He knew that was wasted. This is a quote on him running for president in 2016. I entered public life as a whistleblower, describing my experience in DARPA's Project Pegasus in the early 70s, which was the US time-space program at the time of the emergence of time travel. That truth campaign was motivated by a moral duty that I felt I had to describe what happened so that millions of dollars aren't wasted reinventing the wheel in terms of time travel. In the process, I thought, well, why don't I go for the top job? If I'm talking about this stuff and if my ideas and my information would be truly transformative, why not just run for president? Try to have a larger impact. At least if I don't win, I'll have a wider audience. That doesn't sound like the words of a man who knows he's going to be president due to time travel, by the way.
Contradicts
Yeah, I know.
It sounds like a man who's unsure of his future, let's say. But anyway, I thought this would be a good topic for you specifically, Jordan, since you are a political man. You commentate on Australian politics. Jesus, can't talk. Politics in Australia online. So we've got a list here of Andrew's policies, his policy proposals. If you want to read through them and then give him a rating based on your political expertise, if you would vote for this man.
All right, disclosing secret advanced technologies. Who could disagree with that? Except anyone in the intelligence arena / development / anyone that is working on a top secret
anyone
project
working
of any capacity,
on those
there is
projects.
probably a good reason that they are secret.
Yeah, but
other than that, yes.
10 out
very
of 10 for me.
populist policy.
10 out of 10 for me. Like, as a person who's not involved,
the truth
100%.
must be known.
Yeah,
and I'm
let
sure
us
there's
know.
going to be there can be no grey area to this either. All of it must be disclosed, regardless.
Well, he says here, so for 70 years, the US government has been concealing advanced technologies because they might be socially, economically, or technically disruptive in nature. These technologies include the teleportation technology, which we talked about, but they also include cancer cures and things like that. So that's a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, if he's running on the position or the platform of making all that public, sure thing. 10 out of 10.
Sure
Vote
thing,
for Andy.
All right, but is he still...
You're seriously
Okay.
going to argue against cancer cures being not released?
No, I'm sure they absolutely are withholding those from us. I do need to get that on the record. But I also just think it's so blanket to say, everything that the government's working on, get it all out there. Show the world.
But isn't this what Trump
this-
did as well? Like, he said, when I get in office, I'm going to release everything, absolutely everything. And then he got in office and we still don't have...
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean...
Then he did release JFK papers.
He did, yeah, but where are the Epstein files again? They out yet?
Yeah, so that's 1 out of 3, I suppose.
He's doing better than other presidents.
1 out of 3 ain't
respect.
bad.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty sure nothing's going to come out of those JFK papers, because isn't it just boxes and boxes and boxes of just being like, Margaret claims that she saw the president's head explode. Bill was ordering an ice cream at the time and therefore did not see the president's head explode. Like, it's just them interviewing people that were there. But we'll see. Admitting how time travel affected the presidency. All right, well, how could you be against this? Time, space, age began in 1970 when DARPA's Project Pegasus modified the Tesla teleporter. At the time, the bias in the government was against playing God and quantum engineering the future based on our prior knowledge to it. However, one exception to this doctrine was made when it was decided that future presidents should be told of their presidencies. Okay, yeah, so that is one of his... He wants that disclosed.
Wait, so he says here as well, the president should ask Presidents Bush, Clinton, Bush, and Obama to tell the truth to the American people and admit that they were given
so that's the policy?
foreknowledge.
That's the policy. Him just say, tell the truth.
Yeah.
To Clinton.
But he's also saying, what the fuck? But this president who's elected would have to have been pre-warned or given knowledge of their presidency already as well.
Yeah.
Including himself.
Silly.
Which he did. Oh, God, this is getting confusing. 10 out of 10 anyway.
10 out of 10 anyway.
I'd vote.
Protecting the Sasquatch species. Yep, that's great. The Sasquatch
10 out of 10.
exist. Sasquatch exist. This is his campaign. Okay.
I would vote for him over more than Kanye West, though.
This guy?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at least he has some experience with the law.
True, yeah. True. Actually true. God damn it, I just forgot that this guy was an actual professional lawyer for 20 years or whatever.
And this guy does have a better policy platform than Kanye West's, which was nothing, as far as I could tell.
he didn't have any cool slideshows on Sasquatch.
No. I did not know that Theodore Roosevelt claimed that he saw a Sasquatch. There you go.
I love the
That's
end
the
of this
best
slide.
piece of evidence that I've seen. Huh?
I love the end of this slide about his policy on the Sasquatch. It says the president should protect the Sasquatch by putting them on the endangered species list.
Yeah, as he should.
So
As
good.
he should.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 policy. They're all quite inconsequential policies, really, aren't they? Apart from the first one, which is extremely consequential.
Yeah.
But these two here so far is just like, yeah, why not? If you want to
Well,
do
the next one's pretty consequential, especially in the modern era.
Promoting egg consumption as a development tool. President
Eggs
Kennedy
are getting
once observed that
expensive.
human
It's the
mind is
opposite of what
ultimate
Andrew
resource.
wanted, by the way. The modern era is the opposite of what Andrew wanted.
Yeah, they've always got weird theories about health, don't they?
Well, just eggs. Why is eggs such a common topic in politics at the moment? It has been forever.
National literacy rates are directly correlated with national rates of daily per capita egg consumption. Really?
Is that true? Wait, so he says
President
national.
should launch a global development initiative based on promoting the production and consumption of eggs. The goal should be 1 egg per person per day.
Sorry, vegans.
What did you say, Kira?
I said sorry, vegans.
Yeah, dumb vegans.
No.
Well, they're not able to read. I feel like
Look, honestly, I'm
Jordan's gobsmacked.
weirded out by this policy the most because it's just so left of field. He's never talked about it once. I don't know if there's any evidence that correlates to this.
Yeah, is there?
It's just a really strange one to chuck in.
Hey, commenters out there, leave some comments below about if this is true. if you've noticed
Is
an
it?
increase in your intelligence upon eating 1 egg per day.
Disclosing the secret US presence on Mars. Mars has been visited by US personnel for more than 50 years. Yet America's presence on Mars remains shrouded in official secrecy. Okay, so it's more disclosure.
Yeah.
Disclosing the truth about NASA's lunar program. Oh, what
More
has he got to say
disclosure.
about this? In 1961, President Kennedy set our national space goal of landing the man on the moon, but the lunar program remains shrouded in a mystery that it should not possess. The president should answer basic questions that Americans have about NASA's lunar program. These questions include, did we land men on the moon, or were the lunar landings hoaxed? And if so, why? Did extraterrestrials observe the lunar landing? Did the astronauts find artifacts on the moon? Why, after going to the moon, did we not return to it? But you did, though, didn't you? Like 6 times.
Yeah. Also, what's funny about this is like he's like, I went to Mars, but he's drawing the line at us going to the moon. Like that's too
Yeah, what the
far-fetched.
hell? I didn't even think about that.
I went to Mars, but it's not possible that humans went to the moon. I don't believe it. It was a hoax.
No, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Achieving teleportation-based transport. Now that's a transportation policy.
That's one I could get
Jesus
behind
Christ.
100%. Imagine if we could just teleport anywhere. God, it'd be so good.
Yes. And on the off chance that this man holds the key, we should elect him. In 2016.
please.
God,
You know,
dude,
I'm
this
down.
platform is
I'm absolutely down
hilarious.
to elect him just to see what happens. Honestly, at this point.
Yeah. Just to see how many of these promises he can fulfill.
There's going to be a lot of executive orders, maybe even more than Trump. Honestly.
There's so many.
All right, this next one's a good one. I did not see this one coming.
Protecting the human beings of the sea. I don't know why they're in inverted commas, but recently India declared that dolphins are non-human persons and banned public shows involving dolphins. I've long held that might be described as the humanity of dolphins to be recognized under international law. See, it's weird. He is a sensitive man, isn't he?
He's fighting for the rights of
He's very
dolphins on his
sensitive of dolphins.
presidential platform where he talks
Yeah.
about eggs. And this guy is a professional lawyer. Again, he's fighting for people's like civil cases and stuff, probably. And
It's really strange.
dude, if I
I've
found
never
out my
even-
lawyer was operating this on the side, I'd be terrified.
Oh, totally. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh. The President as Commander-in-Chief can order the United States Navy to halt all oceanic technological activities that kill, injure, torture, or use the dolphins as weapons of war. Wow.
Yeah, he is a
It's
sensitive
just
man.
so strange because he is, isn't he?
I can get behind that.
Usually a presidential platform has a lot to do with, you know, something about economic management, something about trade. Yeah, that's usually one. Something about education, something about healthcare. So far, his healthcare policy seems to be eat more eggs.
Yeah.
His transportation policy is time travel, which is sick. Yeah.
The egg thing is dumb, but it is literally the only thing on this list that is probably an actual,
Seems achievable.
yeah, believable policy to have. Like, hey, eat more eggs so that people are healthier,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
And
that's
his environmental policy is purely to protect dolphins and Sasquatches.
why them specifically? Why dolphins? What about they say octopus are meant to be like smarter than dolphins, right?
Are they?
I think so. They're meant to be really smart. Why not?
Surely
them?
they're not smarter than dolphins. I reckon they're probably like smarter than a dog. Dolphins are pretty damn intelligent. I mean, there is theories that certain whales have a more broad vocabulary than we do. And they're pretty damn close to that.
I'm looking it up now. I want.
Dolphins are considered to be more intelligent.
Okay, interesting. I did base that entire assumption of octopus being smarter just due to the fact that they can get themselves out of really tight situations. Like you see them getting themselves out of little jars all the time. You seen those videos?
It's crazy.
Wait. So that's why they're smarter.
Yeah, dolphins can't do that. Checkmate.
Yeah, dolphins can't do it.
I think they're pretty similar though. They're like very smart.
Yeah, I think there's
Both
definitely
very
intelligent.
smart.
Yeah. Okay, and the final one.
Out with mainstream media and in with alternative media. Oh, no.
Yeah, I wonder why. That's incredibly predictable.
The mainstream media is incompetent in its reporting about the president and true history. True history!
Fake news.
True history! That's so much better than fake news.
It is. Yeah. It's a sensitive take on it.
True history. Yeah.
He doesn't focus on the negatives. He focuses on the positive, that there is true history.
In 2011, I revealed that President Obama was a participant in the Mars Jump Room program. So good that that's true history. And that we are... He's writing this! He thinks that! And we had 3 fellow participants available to be interviewed about this fact. Yet in the last 5 years of the Obama presidency, not a single member of the mainstream media sought to interview any of us.
Who it serves.
That's why they've got to go. Highly incompetent. Serves in Mars Jump Room program about Obama's involvement. True history was lost. As president, I will work through the alternative media to communicate with the American people.
Ugh.
Damn, dude. See, that's my big gripe. Like, my entire career, I have been sitting there railing against the mainstream press. And I thought, like, the glorious day would come when we finally got our news from Instagram influencers. And now that day has come, I really miss the mainstream media.
Yeah, I mean, when you
like way
decentralize it and put it in the hands of... When you decentralize it and put it in the hands of people, media... it's obviously going to just be corrupted by a lot of individual pursuits and crazy people. Like, media needs to have some level of institutionalization and rules to it, surely, for it to be legitimate.
Summed it up pretty damn well, Jackson. I mean, look, there is a reason that this man is seeking to destroy mainstream media and only communicate through alternative media.
Yeah.
It's because,
it's because he's being silenced by the government.
Faults, and there are many. They're not interviewing this man. Like, he is pointing out the reason that it is better than the alternative media right here.
To be fair, though, I do want to interview him. I want him to come on the show and talk to us. I think that would be very entertaining.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
We can be your alternative media format, Andrew Basiago. We want to hear about Sasquatch rights as well as egg consumption, dolphins, Martians, all of it. We love it.
God, it's really good just going back and looking at the same reassuring smile of every single one. Because you have to understand, I don't know if they're going to have these images propped up, but what Kira's found is quite phenomenal. This is, it really does look like an ad for a lawyer that you see in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Of them talking about, do you need a compensation case run?
Yes,
It's like one of
yeah.
those. It's like he's got the exact
He's got
same
that
pose
look.
of it. It has that nice authoritative deep blue in the background. The writing looks, if you didn't read anything on that paper, it looks very authoritative. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's professional.
Isn't it?
Yeah, again, he has his air of legitimacy and professional and articulation to him that you just don't find in other conspiracy theorists.
So strange.
He's so I love him. I love him. So on his website, he announced that he was taking a sabbatical from his work in law to write his long-awaited memoir. There are no dates saying when this sabbatical was, but he said that the book was going to be released in 2011 under the title Once Upon a Time in the Time Stream, My Adventures in Project Pegasus at the Dawn of the Time Space Age. Jesus. A long title. He needs to work on that one. It has not yet been released, though, 14 years later. We're still waiting. When it releases, though, I want that shit to like fly to the top of the charts. That needs to be like a what do they call the charts in books? Fuck, what's it called?
Bestsellers list?
Yeah, but there's a specific list that I'm thinking of.
New York Times bestseller?
Yeah, New York Times bestseller. That's it. Yeah. Doing some digging on his Facebook page, which he himself has not actively posted on in years, someone asked him when his book is coming out. He replied through someone else. Kira wasn't able to find out who this was, but she's seen him reply through a few people. Quote, I do not know when the books are coming out. I completed 8 books in 2020. Jesus, including one with 300 chapters on Project Pegasus, but there is a complication with my medical benefits. When I either get a kidney or an artificial kidney, I should be able to publish the books I have written, but not until then. Okay, what? So he's holding his 8 books hostage until he gets his artificial kidney. He's eating too many eggs. It's poisoned his kidney. Recently, Andrew has not been as active in his truth campaign in recent years, beside the odd podcast. There is no information about Andrew's family, potential partners, or possible kids. That blew me away because he has been talking for like 20 years straight about this stuff and doing interviews on alternative media websites.
And
it's surprising.
Private life private.
Yeah, it's incredible that like you can't find any like relatives online, like no one with the same last name or anything. He's a ghost. He basically is just like what we've just talked about. That's all that you can find online about him, other than his law career as well. Yeah, it's very odd. Andrew would be 63 years old today, but the lack of obituaries, news reports, or public statements about his death suggest that he is still with us. or perhaps he has time traveled to a different point in time, and that's why we haven't heard from him in a while. Maybe he's gone to a different point in time. We'll end it on this quote from him. And I think this sums it up pretty succinctly. I just recognize that the truth ultimately prevails. I recognize that some people view me as a liar or as crazy, or they're envious that they were not involved. But I'm simply sharing what happened to me. I'll get a certain amount of disbelievers, but I'll also get a certain number of believers. End quote. He's a positive man. I respect him. No, you know what? I believe him. How about that? I believe him. What harm does it do me believing him, Jordan?
You know what? Honestly, absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
If anything, it just makes a man that has given us all a bunch of joy in life a little bit happier. You're really
exactly
karma.
Exactly. It's so inconsequential, me believing this. It's not going to impact anyone other than Andrew Basiago knowing that he's touched someone. That was a poor phrasing. Touch my heart. Yeah, I want to believe. I get why people believe in conspiracy theories, because it does make life so much more interesting and colorful.
Do you think that that's the reason?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's just people are kind of bored? Yeah,
life is too boring. It's cool to feel like you know something that other people don't know as well. Like you see through the matrix.
Yes. And it's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. Why do you why do you believe in aliens, for example? Is it because like you actually genuinely believe in it, or do you think that it's fun to believe in? And so you feel more biased towards believing it?
It's definitely a combination of the two. It's like, look, I have learned from doing my show that people that are skeptical about it even have this same kind of reaction that we have to this guy here.
Like,
it's
I
just
want
sort
to
of
believe.
like, yeah, I want to believe. It's fun to think about it. There's definitely that element to it.
Yeah, is there anyone out there who doesn't want to believe?
Yeah, I know.
That's a boring person. That's a sad person. If you told someone this and they're like, no, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe it.
Yeah, that's
like something you say to like a bad medical diagnosis, not aliens existing.
Yeah, totally. But also I think that it's like, my major thing is that like when you look at the general talking points that people have about the existence of aliens, it's usually things like, yes, I think that there's intelligent life out there. I just don't think they've come here. And then if you think about that for like a little bit longer, it's kind of like, well, but why? Why wouldn't they? Like if there is, if people are kind of at the point, because this is something that I came across when I was doing the show, right? In our lifetime, the point used to be, I don't think that there's anything out there. And then our telescopes got so advanced that we saw tens of thousands of planets that are potentially habitable, that now the talking point is, yes, but I just don't think that they've come here. But to me, it just seems kind of like statistically more likely the other way around, if you're just purely looking at that they would have at some point just like sent a drone or a sonar to just be like, yeah, they're pretty dumb, and then just fuck off again, you know?
I mean, if there were aliens that were capable of, now we're talking about aliens, but if there were aliens that were capable of traveling across the galaxy, surely the implication there is that they have the technology available to them to detect life on other planets, surely,
yes.
And B, also inherently have the curiosity that would drive them to then visit that life.
Yes.
I mean, we would if we had that ability.
Yes, we would.
Anyway,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so you would do that. So look, my point is that unlike this guy who's making very, very definitive statements when it comes to the experiences that he definitely had, which seem to, amazingly coincidentally include Barack Obama doing Mars missions and seeing these giant-headed T-Rexes. Like these are all very definite statements, you know?
Yeah.
I think that if you're ever going to go into the conspiracy world, you really want to be looking at those conspiracies. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like the UFO one, because it's all kind of like, look, there is this document here. The government said that this like program didn't exist, but it did exist for 80 years. There's nothing definitive about it, but there's nothing like exclusionary about it either. It's always just a bit open and in the air and kind of like, maybe, I don't know. There's nothing else like that.
It's fun.
I don't know. Like, you guys have been doing
ones,
this one for like a lot longer. Have you ever come across something that's like, usually it seems to go down this path?
Oh, what do you mean?
There's something that's just sort of like up in the air and kind of like, I don't know.
Like, it genuinely makes you like question it?
It genuinely makes you question it.
I mean, UFOs actually is just genuinely the best example of that, for sure.
Isn't it?
Because there are so many questions surrounding it, so many possibilities. And I mean, it's certainly possible. Whereas everything else, there are pretty concrete biases behind why people create the conspiracies in the first place. And it's very hard to turn off your brain, turn your brain off to those facts and try to like take it at face value.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll give credit to
really.
us three in this one. I think all three of us were trying to do that with this.
Yeah, 100%. I am turning my brain off. I believe him, God damn it. Stop taking that away from me. Stop trying to bring me back to reality. There's no harm in it.
Should really listen to his talks, because they are good. Like, he's a good storyteller.
Yeah, even if it's not true, he's an entertaining figure. Also, like the friendliness of it. Like, do you think Barack Obama is sitting out there he's handed 2 conspiracy theories. Which one do you think he prefers? The one talking about all of this, or the one where like they're criticizing him and saying that he was like born in Africa and shouldn't be allowed to run for president or whatever? You know, those kinds of conspiracies. Like, this is inherently just a fun one. It's fun. It's fun to think that Barack Obama was space traveling at the age of 10.
Yeah.
That's not
And
negative.
he refuses to reveal the truth, not because he can't, but because he's a coward.
I hate when conspiracies turn like actually unhealthy, like the whole, you know, Sandy Hook conspiracies about it not being real, like the Alex Jones kind of shit. But these ones just I fucking love. I could look into this stuff all day and talk about it all day. It's so much fun. All right.
You know what? Okay, all right. One sec before we go.
Yeah, before we wrap.
You know what I think will be one where you're going to have like little threads where you think, oh my God, they were right.
Yeah.
You know what I think? Q. I reckon Q is going to, that's exactly what you're talking about with like Alex Jones conspiracies and things. They sort of are just based off of, like, QAnon. Like, it'll be based off of some platform of some government decision, you know?
What do you mean?
That's the same thing.
Well, what do you mean it'll be?
It's like, you know how this guy just starts off with, this was part of like the DARPA program or something.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to Q, much like when it was with Alex Jones, it'll be much more detailed along that path. Like, they will have a bunch of government agencies that they know about, you know?
So that gives it a shred of legitimacy.
It gives it a shred of legitimacy, you know?
Doesn't that already exist? Isn't that already the QAnon stuff? Like, they already point to stuff like that, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, in Red Thread, we should do that one day. Because if you want to talk about a conspiracy theory that truly did shape the world, like, that did that.
Yeah.
QAnon has political power behind it. This guy, as we can plainly see, tried to get political power.
This guy should have political power behind him. The world is cruel.
Yeah.
The world is cruel and unfair. Think of if only dolphins could vote.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Red Thread. Kira, thank you very much for joining us yet again, and thank you for your wonderful work on the document. Really do appreciate it. Kira does an incredible job writing all this and researching it.
Yeah, good job.
And then we ruin it by
yes, we do.
dicking around throughout the entirety of it. But if you want to see the document, it's in the description below, linked below. On top of that, thank you again to Jordan for joining the show. You can check out his channels linked below. There's Friendly Geordies, which is based around Australian politics, so that's a bit niche for the American audience, but it's still there, and you'll see more of Jordan there. Very entertaining stuff. But he's also got a more general channel called Jordan Shanks, which is linked below as well, which is like a self-help comedy channel. Great videos over there that you can go watch. Very funny. And he's also got a live show. Links below again. If you're Australian and you're in the areas, please go buy tickets. Go see him. Tell him that the Red Thread sends its regards. Go check it out. Really appreciate you coming on board. You had a delightful sense of light to the show. It's great to have you on. Really do appreciate it. And I also appreciate every single one of you who stuck through all the changes that have undergone Red Thread. If you're still here, thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. You guys make Red Thread possible, and we love you guys so much. So thank you very much. Leave us comments below about what you want us to hit next time. Any feedback, suggestions, all of it. I read it all, so please leave it below. Appreciate it. Share it with a friend. That's going to do it this week for Red Thread. Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.